will be given by our Parks and Rec Deputy Director, Jody Guerin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have an addition. It'll be Israel Polanco, Evelyn Wilds, and Tate Eschenbrenner. Did I do okay, Tate? Okay, thank you. Please join me.
Ready?
Jody, thank you for being here.
Let us take a moment to pause and focus our attention as we prepare to work together this evening in service of our community. We acknowledge that we are all interconnected, bound by the spiritual energy of the universe, and we draw strength from our shared humanity. We gather together with a shared purpose to serve every resident of our town. We recognize the importance of the decisions the mayor and town council members are asked to make and our role in providing sound information to use in the process. We seek the clarity and the wisdom to listen with open hearts, to understand the diverse needs before us, and to deliberate with respect. May our discussions be productive, our decisions be guided by justice, and our collective actions always reflect an unwavering commitment to the well-being and unity of this entire community. Let us begin. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Appreciate it. I forgot to mention these are three great Anza Trail Coyote students, so if you make your way to the...
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And embarrassingly so for me, when I've attended some of the school events, they go right into the preamble, and they have it down, and I don't, which is a little embarrassing, but it's pretty awesome when you see them go right from the pledge to the preamble of the Constitution. Next, we have roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Gillespie.
Here.
Councilmember Lisk. Here. Councilmember Lytle.
Here.
Councilmember Morales. Councilmember Priolo. Here. Vice Mayor Egbert. Here. Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thanks. Next is call to the public. The call to the public is now open. Individuals may speak for 3 minutes. Spokespersons 10. The council cannot discuss matters not on the agenda. However, at the end of the call to the public, council members may respond to criticism, request staff to review the issue, or add the topic to a future agenda. I have a few, but most of them are the regular call to the public, and then I have one at an agenda item. So we'll go to that when it's the agenda item time. Rick Corrado?
Yes, Mayor.
I'd explain
I know the drill.
I
Don't
was
worry.
explaining the lights and everything,
I
but
know you guys are all happy to see me.
no, we love seeing you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mayor Murphy and distinguished members of the council and town staff, this evening I want to draw your attention to a recent expose on K-Gun News Channel 9 that was last Tuesday, December 2nd. Apparently, a strange white sludge appeared in the washes adjacent to the Estrada del Pueblo neighborhood near the Northwest Medical Center in Sahuarita last year after monsoon rains. Similar material has surged down the same path this October, hardening wash sand to the texture of concrete. Repeated quests by the residents urged that the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, ADEQ, to take a regulation enforcement action against nearby mines. ADEQ inspectors identified the substances as calcium carbonate, the same mineral produced by Simbar Resources mine. Weak excuses were given and no contaminants were seemingly identified. No violations were issued, and constant urging by residents over 7 months resulted in further testing by ADEQ. And surprise, 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 elevated levels of arsenic were found above state-level safety standards. No further testing, no further monitoring, no cleanup was performed. ADEQ responded by saying that the mine was operating under under old company licenses and state regulations passed in 1872. Limited testing and explanation have eroded public trust. It is apparent neither ADEQ nor the state of Arizona is going to protect us. This poses the next question. What if this were the Hudbay Minerals Copper World mining project? Residents in surrounding regions are continuing to raise broad concerns as to the regulatory compliance in the same mountain range. All evidence being submitted is a precursor to how the state, the county, and municipalities are going to manage this mine. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Sahuarita is 10 miles away. This will have little effect on us. This line of thinking is illogical. Environmental contamination will take longer to reach us, that's all. Make no mistake, a compromised ecosystem will impact all of us. It's just a matter of time. I submit to you, now is the time to be proactive. Pass regulations that at the very least attempt to mitigate, control, and protect us against this damage. It has become clear we can no longer trust the state. So we place our trust in you. We only hope that the town's mission statement will guide you to honor, respect, and preserve the quality of life here in Sahuarita. Thank you for your time.
Thanks
And
for-
Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas, thank you. Rosanna Gabaldon. Welcome back. You used to be on this side.
Thank
Right.
you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. Good evening. For the record, I'm Rosanna Gavaldon. I'm a resident in the town of Sahuarita, and I serve as your Arizona State Senator. Mayor Murphy, Vice Mayor Egbert, members of the council, town staff, and the people of Sahuarita. Thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. As someone who previously served on this council, I appreciate the difficult decisions you face and the thoughtful work that has gone into the general plan update. I want to share 3 priorities that I believe are essential for Sahuarita's long-term success. 1, housing. Our residents need a wider range of affordable housing options. The plan progresses in this area, but I encourage you to establish clear production targets and streamline project approvals to meet the needs of working families. 2, economic development and wages. I support focusing on high-value industries and workforce partnerships. As you implement this plan, I recommend linking incentives to 2 outcomes: growth in family wage jobs and contributions to housing near new employment centers. 3, water sustainability. Our water resources must be the foundation of every growth decision. Large water users should be required to bring renewable options and supplies, whether through the Central Arizona Project or uncommitted effluent, as we protect our aquifer for the long term. Wastewater planning around also ensures reclaimed water can be reused where it is most needed. I offer these comments in support of the town's vision and as a partner. I'm committed to working with you to ensure I'm used to that. Sahuarita grows in ways that strengthen our economy, keep housing attainable, and safeguard our water future. Mayor Murphy, I appreciate this opportunity to speak.
Thanks. Thanks
And
for being
happy
here.
holidays
Happy
to one
holidays.
and all.
Arturo Gabaldon, and as I call him, Arturo Gabaldon. That's a joke that he always uses.
Mayor, council members, thank you for the chance to review the 90-day general plan. And we appreciate on behalf of the Board of Community Water Company of Green Valley, not-for-profit corporation with members, we appreciate the town's efforts in understanding how the plan for long-term growth in a region where water is the single limiting factor presents a challenge. Having reviewed the document, I would like to provide the following comments, which are strictly related to water resources. These comments are from the perspective of a local provider working to protect and sustain our aquifer. Long-term water availability needs stronger treatment. The draft plan relies on unused allocations under the Assured Water Supply Program. While these allocations meet the regulatory requirements, they do not ensure that our local aquifer will remain stable under continuing pumping. Groundwater levels in the region have already exhibited a long-term decline. good planning requires acknowledging that legal allocations and actual sustainable water supplies are not the same. Water resources can be strengthened by explicit recognition of the decline of the aquifer and stating that growth should be supplied by both legal and physical water until the development of strategies for future, including the development of strategies for future augmentation. Second, require major new water users to secure renewable water. The general plan acknowledges that providers in the region hold cap water, but does not take the next step of providing a coordinated strategy to bring renewable supplies to Sahuarita. The plan encourages attracting high-value industries. Some of these sectors can be significant water users. While a water provider may have a designation of assured water supply, that designation is based on the sustainability of the existing groundwater supplies. This places the full burden of the new water-intensive development on an already stressed aquifer. I will conclude also, and my notes were sent to the town council, but I just want to say that the town's vision for a future is ambitious and forward-looking. Strong and more explicit commitment to water sustainability is important. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. As I mentioned, the other call to the public is to an agenda item. So we'll close the call to the public and move on to council, town manager, a brief summary of current events. Councilmember Lytle, did you have anything to report?
Well, actually, I had a great day today.
You did? That's
I
because you
did.
saw us.
Before that,
Oh, okay.
I went to an elementary school with a bunch of third graders. And they asked a lot of very interesting questions. Like, they asked me what kind of relationship I have with George Washington.
There you go.
And,
I was going to ask about Moses, but.
well, no, that was a couple days before my time.
Okay.
And, but, you know, they had sent me thank you cards when I got back from the honor flight.
Yep.
And I went over to the school to thank them. And it was exhilarating.
Yep.
I really do appreciate your children, and I really do want to do all that I can to help.
Yep. We have great students.
Yeah.
As witnessed by
I
the
see that.
3 here tonight. Thank you. Councilmember Morales. Councilmember List. Councilmember Briolo.
So I think it was on November 26th, November 27th, Mayor Murphy, myself, and Councilmember Lytle met with our Gail Griffith, Arizona Representative Gail Griffith. She is the chairwoman of, she's known as the guru of water in Arizona. And we met with her for, an hour and a half, and she presented us with an enormous amount of material, resources, and education, and it was very, very informative. And we continue to hear and share concerns about our aquifer and water.
Thank you. Dr. Lesby. Vice Mayor.
I just have a few. I was able to attend a community event, the Creche Festival. It was 300 nativities at the church next door. They are interested in doing more of an interfaith. So if those that are wanting to participate and belong to different faiths that would like to do it, I have connections to help with that in the future. But they would love to double those nativities. They were beautiful. Coming up, we have the Elevate Green Valley graduation here. I'm excited for that. And Winterfest. I'm assuming you're catching Winterfest.
Yep.
And the other thing that I'm going to be doing is speaking to the Scouts. And I know you were going to mention the Scouts in a few minutes, but speaking to the Scouts about what local government does. So that's my current, future, and past.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I don't remember if I mentioned this because of when the council members' council meeting fell, but Councilmember Lytle was honored by Congressman Siscomani for a Veteran Servant Leadership Award. So I just wanted to congratulate him on that. It was a really nice evening to be sharing that with you. And since the last council meeting, we've had Veterans Day and we had Pearl Harbor Day. So I just wanted to thank our Public Works Department, especially John Garcia and the Boy Scouts. You see all the American flags that have gone up, and that started at about 40-ish, and we're over 200 now. So it's a heavy lift, but I get a lot of positive comments on it all the time. So I just wanted to, I don't think we can thank staff enough, and John has been a leader of that, as well as our roadside cleanup. I always get good feedback. Everything, it's because he was Air Force, but everything is lined up, clean, the pickup sticks, the gloves, the bags, everything. So I'm really, thankful for all of those efforts. I also attended the Creche Festival. It was just really amazing. And I mentioned I have two that weren't probably the same as any other there. So next year, I'll have two more additions. So we'll get to 302 at least. And, Ed talked about all our great students. I was able to attend the Continental Ballet. They did the Nutcracker over the last couple of evenings. And again, the youth and I brought my mom, and she just always tells me how she can't believe the talent, of the youth in our community. And it was, we have a great auditorium to hold it in. So that was just, really wonderful to participate in. And as Vice Mayor mentioned, Winterfest is this Saturday, 3 to 8. Right, Devin? I think I have 3 to 8. Good. I think we have the largest parade entries so far of any year, so it's another great community event, and wanted to thank Park and Rec and PD. I know there's a lot of departments that go into that, and we get to go over there and enjoy it, but how much work that goes into these community events. So just wanted to thank everybody ahead of time. And as a reminder, our next meeting is the new year, January 26, 2025. So I hope, if I don't have another opportunity, to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays as we move forward. So it's an exciting time, I believe, to be a resident in Sal Rita. Thank you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, if you missed the Nutcracker last weekend, the other dance company, that Sarita Dance Center, will be doing it this weekend. So
Right.
if you missed it, you
There's
have
so
an
much
opportunity.
talent, we have to do it over 2 weekends for the Nutcracker on there. Mr. Dilly, do you have any additions?
Thank you, Mayor. Just quickly, wanted to let you know, give you a quick update on the Man in the Maze park. We have the disc golf component to that. The installation of that disc golf feature is moving along very well. Parks met with ADEQ recently to review needed access improvements to support getting the equipment up there for the mine, the mine-themed donations.
Yep.
And so we expect to get the green light from ADEQ here shortly, and we also expect to start seeing material showing up on that disc golf here within the next week or so. So very excited about that. Wanted to thank the council for being involved in the ULI exercise last week. Great planning effort. Looking forward to seeing the fruit of that labor. So stay tuned for that. And then happy to announce that we've received the 20th consecutive time the GFOA award. However, this is the first year that, in large part to Adele, our budget manager, that we received special recognition on how we connected our budget elements to the strategic goals and strategies for the town. So that's an added component to that recognition. And I thank our finance department under AC's leadership for helping us get through that process. I'll ditto the sentiments on wishing everybody happy holidays coming up. And then as we approach the new year, with that comes new opportunities to re-envision what tomorrow looks like for our community. And I think it's met with all sorts of promise. And so I'm very excited to be a part of this organization and entering into that tomorrow with everybody.
Thanks. And I forgot to mention the Jingle Jog, I think, coming up.
No, it was last week.
Oh, it was last weekend. So thanks for the efforts on there. And also, I'll need a nod of the head from Victor. I heard the soft opening, Boot Barn was today, so if anybody's looking for last-minute Christmas gifts, Boot Barn's open. So, no, it's never soft open, but I figured, we're so appreciative to our investors in our community. So I plan on trying to get down there tomorrow and just welcome them to the community. And Mr. Dilly, you were finished with that, right?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next is item number 7, which is our consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously, thank you. Item number 8, Madam Clerk.
This is a presentation from the Sahuarita Food Bank and Valley Assistance Services on their annual events.
Thank you. Jody, who you've seen earlier today, is going to kind of kick it off and then introduce representatives from VAS, Valley Assistance Services, and the Sahuarita Food Bank.
Thank you. As you all know, we have an agreement with both of these organizations to put money to use in the community in ways that we probably can't do independently. And so tonight, as part of their ongoing efforts to keep us up to date, they're going to be reporting on what they've done with the funding that was allocated last year. I will note it's a total of about $180,000 a year between the two organizations. And so they're making good on their use of the funds. So I'd like to invite up first, we're going to have the food bank. We have Carlos and Penny, well, maybe Penny. Anyway, we're going to have Carlos and Carlos.
I know she was here.
Is she
Oh,
here?
there she is. She
Okay,
moved.
very good.
She was over there. Now
Very
she's
good.
over here.
Do you want to run the thing? Okay. Okay, you'll just cue me.
And I've known Carlos for years, and he's trying to make me jealous by growing hair down the middle, which I can't do. I know, the 3 of us, come on. We do. Welcome.
Mayor, now you messed up my presentation, so.
Yeah, what are you going to say?
You're usually not a loss for words, but
No, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Egbert, members of the council, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to present on behalf of our organization. And Mr. Mayor knows that I can speak for hours and hours, but I'm going to make this short and sweet. Again, thank you for this opportunity. The Sahuarita Food Bank, this is just a glimpse of what we do. I'll talk more about the different programs, but let's take 15 seconds just to digest every single picture that you see, and I'll open it up to some questions at the end. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of a history. Officially, the organization started in 2009, but the first 2 families here in Sahuarita were fed in 2010 in a little 70 square foot closet back in 2010 at the Good Shepherd United Church of Christ, where the food bank, the organization, was founded. Fast forward to 2015. We believed in more than emergency food, that's where we added the and Community Resource Center so we can start to bring additional resources and programs. In 2018, we became a 501c3 organization. We broke away from the church just because we wanted to be able to pursue grants, other opportunities as an independent organization, and also to meet the needs of the growing community. 2022, we opened our 14,300 square foot campus, which is, and when I mention campus, it's more than food. It's a lot of different programs. 2023 was probably our most, I would say, I've been with the organization for 7 years now. In 2023 is really where we became a teenager as an organization. We opened our Saguaro Skill Center, which we should all be proud of. That is the only licensed vocational school by the state of Arizona here in Sahuarita. And so we became a licensed vocational school because we wanted to offer opportunities to residents to get out of poverty. And a big thing that I say is we don't want to put people in jobs, we want to put people in careers. And we believe in workforce development, and I'll talk more about that on the next slide. Project Azul, which is Arizona Uniting Lives, it's an extension of our organization. We go on to rural communities, Summit, Arivaca, et cetera, and just bring everything but food to some of the communities that we serve. And also in 2023, we started our Family Resource Center, which is amazing. for families that have kids 0 to 5. And then also in 2023, we took over the Marana Food Bank operation. So not only do I have to report to my wonderful community here, but my adopted community of Marana for the members there. So 2025, this year, we've served since the beginning, we've served 1,600 unique households. And that's just not food, that's Family Resource Center programs, that's through our Veteran Service Officer, that's through our school, different programs. So 1,600 households here. And not all of them fall under the poverty guidelines. You know, a lot of them coming in for like resume help, other types of services. So that's how we collected those numbers. And then 2026, I like to, when I showed Mayor Murphy Project Azul, he said, what happened to Project Rojo? And so in 2026, we're unveiling Project Verde, which is our large-scale hydroponic farm on wheels. It's going to be self-sustained, so we have hydro panels that are going to collect water vapor. So we're not going to be dependent on water sources, and also we're going to use solar technology to power the units. And so we're going to grow about 12,000 pounds annually in our containers. And we've been researching this for the last couple of years. We have the trailers right now. We're doing the mock-up, so we're going to be deploying these units early next year. They're going to be self-sufficient, meaning we're going to sell to local restaurants, farmers markets, and then the profits, quote unquote, will come back into the community for those that can't afford fresh quality produce. And then also our Project Rojo, which is rolling out job opportunities. It's bringing jobs, skilled labor out into communities around the region here, so we can upskill our communities. And our one of our first programs is our welding program, which is amazing. So next slide, please. Sahuarita residents, this is calendar year of 2025. These are the unique individuals that reside here in the community. So as you can tell, September, October, and even November, these were high months. We still continue to meet the needs. Next slide, please. So Saguaro Skills Center, again, it's the only licensed vocational school that's certified by the state of Arizona here. Two programs that we offer is our Fundamentals of Welding. Students earn a national certification through NC3, so going to other schools, for example, Pima Community College, they could also earn the same certification. What they offer there, they can offer here. A lot of our students struggle in a large academic setting. Our cohorts are small, so that way the students can work closely. We've graduated 10 students. We're getting ready to graduate 7 more students in January. Our first student, Amanda, had 7 job offers when she applied after graduation this past summer. The average starting wage has been $25, and our highest earner is $32. So again, it's not jobs, it's careers. We want to have that progression, that ladder. And then our Google IT support certificate, we've graduated 9 students, and 7 of them have been from the community of Sahuarita. We had a lady that has a special needs child. She couldn't work because she is the caregiver, primary caregiver for her daughter, and went from basically in the household, they had an infusion of $50,000 because she was able to get the certification and work from home. Next slide, please. And then also our Family Resource Center, which is an amazing program. We have 5 partners. Since inception in 2023, 507 families served and over 660 programs offered. So there's not a manual on how to raise kids, but there are a lot of wonderful resources out in the community. And we have our, I failed to mention, we have our, my staff here. We have Itzai, who manages, if you want to just raise your hand, Itzai, our Family Resource Center coordinator. We have Sofia Castro, our program manager for our Community Resource Center. And then Kelly, and I keep butchering her title. She's our longest tenured employee. She's been with the organization for 10 years. She is our Community Outreach Manager. So, and then Penny Peso, who is on our board, is our in charge of strategic innovations. So thank you all for coming and helping. Next slide, please. And that's it. Any questions, comments?
No, well, does anybody want to go first? I was just going to mention, will always be one of my proudest accomplishments at the state of the town when the Marana Food Bank the support was yanked out of them from the Southern Arizona Community Food Bank. unbeknownst to them, and I was able to introduce you to Mayor Honey and his staff, and within 90 days, I think it was, you had taken over. So it was, I know it was a whirlwind for you.
It was, and we would do it again and again.
Yeah, and I knew we had a lot of values, the same as them, and I've always mentioned, you know, your efforts to break the poverty cycle, and you have tough discussions with some of the clients to do that. But really, your job, I know, is to try to put yourself out of business, which is a lofty goal.
Yes.
But that's really what the end result was, and I knew Marana would embrace that with the Resource Center, on top of why we provide the safety net, the food safety net. But that was, thank you. You know, it was just really wonderful. And every time I go up there, I think of Mayor Honey and how passionate he was about, you know, their food bank and replicating what we've done down here. So I just wanted to thank you and the team for everything you did, not only for us, but also working with Marana.
I appreciate the words, and it's been an amazing community.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I just wanted to recognize Penny. We've worked together. I was on the committee. I can't remember exactly what the committee was called, but I was there as this wonderful board group of people came together and had discussions on what does it look like to move people from the line to pay. And it was amazing. It's one of those years that I was there are some of my favorite things, to be able to work alongside those wonderful people. So Penny is a rock star in the town of Sahuarita. I would also want to say that this should be replicated. What you are doing is absolutely spectacular and stellar in the community. And I don't know if you've gotten state recognition or national recognition, but it is time to do that. And so if there are paths that we can help to that you guys be shown, so others can see what can happen in communities when there are people like Penny and your staff that are willing, and the donors that helped get the community resource available. I mean, it is state of the art. So let me know if there's something we can do to help move that along. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from me?
I have one.
Oh, yes, thanks, Shane.
If council's done.
Yep, I think we're good.
Thank you for all that you do. Echo and ditto all that. Carlos, so a couple of years ago, to help meet financial contribution needs, the town put on the table an opportunity to match. Can you share some thoughts about the successes of that helping to bring other donations in to help your operations? I know that's, I didn't get to you beforehand, and I'm catching you kind of on the cold.
You know,
but
so one of the big, and you know, that's a very, that's an excellent question. And, you know, there's been a lot of cuts, a lot of impacts. Our organization diversifies so much that we're in a really healthy state, and it's because of the different things that we're doing. You know, we're trying to get people out of poverty. So we have a lot of new donors, a lot of new private foundations that are believing in the work that we're doing. And it's amazing because we're not just providing outputs, but outcomes. And so a lot of them are coming across and saying, if you can find that donor that can meet us halfway there, we will go there. And so, yes, it's so much easier for us to be able to do the work with collaborative grants and opportunities.
thanks, Carlos.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you.
And I'll tell you my quick Penny story, since you had one. I was at Fiesta Sahuarita, and I was tired, and I thought she was a Park and Rec worker because we were right there at Park and Rec, so I asked her if I could join Park and Rec, and she said, no, she's with the food bank. And she hasn't lost my number since then, so I'm never sitting down again at a Fiesta Sahuarita event on there. But seriously, I echo your comments, Vice Mayor, on all the hard work and the recognition, because, you know, you can have the safety net, but again, trying to break that cycle of poverty is what they focus on each and every day while providing that safety net. So it's really great to see, and all the successes out of it. And I've had a chance to talk to some of the welder graduates and their individual stories as single parents or underemployed, so to speak, and whether it's a Google IT or a welding, knowing how much those jobs are needed for our sectors. It's, you know, just really great to see. So thanks for the continuing work.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And cue the next organization. We have Chris Erickson and Tony Bruno, who are, there they are, here to present for Valley Assistance Services. So,
Thanks.
We love these guys too.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony was one of the first people I met years and years ago when he was on the school board, which he still is now. And he showed me the wider range of our region. He took me to places I could never find ever again, down in Amato and Elephant Head and sides of Mountain and the Honey Guy and all of that. So it's been an interesting, fun, and long journey. It's
been a long venture.
Yes.
There we go.
Welcome.
Welcome, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Town Council staff and Sarita residents. We are Valley Assistance Services. We do a lot of things. We have 18 different programs. If we take them all and smush them together, we have social services and community health. My name is Chris Erickson. I'm an RN for 35 years and also the executive director since 2018, but a 15-year employee of Valley Assistance Services. And with me is Tony Bruno, and he's the associate director. So we're kind of the tag team duo that are keeping Valley Assistance going and creative ideas along with our wonderful board and our wonderful staff. You see the picture right now that we are in, the building is in Green Valley. That is kind of a misconception because our service area is 2,700 square miles, and we service 7,800 people a year. That is grown since when I become on. It was down in the 3,000s, and we keep kind of growing and growing and growing. And so a little bit of us, let me see if I can do this right. Okay, there we go. So Valley Assistance Services began in 1964 for history. We began as a children's program and then broke out of the Greater Green Valley Community Foundation. We were partnered with them and kind of ventured on our own in the early 70s, and it became incorporated in 1981. When we started in 1981, we were basically social services. In 2010, we became community health as well, writing the first fall prevention program with now called Santa Rita Fire District, which is going strong till this day. Keep on going. So here's some of our programs, kind of in a nutshell, and we do a lot. And it's not just staff, it's not just board. We have over 200 volunteers that help us in our agency, and we could not do that without them. So one of the main programs is our MAP, or Monetary Assistance Program. That's on the social services side. We help with emergency rent, utilities, emergency mortgage, and into that, I'll talk about that. We're kind of veering off and coming into a different couple of programs. You might have seen us a little bit on the news lately. We have had severe federal cuts coming to that particular program. Some of these grants we were ranked as #1 getting in Pima County. Those have gone away. So we are continually applying for different grants, going with funders, talking with funders, and now kind of adding some pivotal programs to encourage more growth in that particular program and more funding in that program.
Chris,
So,
with the
yeah.
government reopened again, are you expecting some to continue to be gone in a way, or some coming back once we work through the reopening and
One
such?
is completely gone.
Okay.
We were the top second one in Pima County for that. That one is gone.
Is that because the federal government was funding Pima County, which then led to us, so we don't have the ability to go?
Correct,
from
but
the
it
county?
is one of the programs that the federal have cut.
Cut, okay.
So that is gone. And then some of them now are on hold. We just don't know when or if they might come back at full strength or part strength or, at a minimum. We're not quite sure at this point, so. But Monetary Assistance Program sees many families from Sarita that are struggling and trying to pay their rent and their utilities with that too. We do partner with a lot of different utility programs, and we have some with us tonight here that we're partnering with, and also different statewide companies as well to do that.
I know, talking to Arturo over the years, the Roundup program is a really, really great program to
Yes. Yes.
Round up your bill and probably have just a little bit of impact on you, but a great
Yes.
impact to the others that are struggling. So.
Yes, and I think the community has really rallied on that. So I have seen, I don't know if you want to add, Tony, but I have seen community taking care of community right now. And that's what we need to do. I mean, our hearts are in it, our hearts are with the people here, and we all need to be helpful and courteous to those who are really struggling. And I just see it. It's come alive right now with what's going on. So I appreciate everybody doing that. It's very helpful. A part of MAP is a benefit advocacy. So we do SNAP, we do WIC, we do all those programs we can help them apply for. And then because of that, and because of the little pivotal we had with the monetary assistance program, we have 3 different workforce programs. These are very specific programs. So we have one for women, one for older adults, and one for those who are on the lower end, maybe in the WIC or the SNAP program. They're very directed right to us. So we're working statewide right now with that program. So that program has started in November.
Thanks.
I would just add that one of our workforce development programs it took us 8 months to qualify, but it is a program that will assist individuals and families with their SNAP EBT cards, and it will meet the federal requirements. That's taken us a while to get to this point. We have started that program actually on November 28th, and are moving forward with supporting those who need SNAP benefits.
Thanks.
Also with that program, we do financial literacy. Now, workforce and financial literacy we have done for about 20 years, but we have ramped that up with very strong needs. We have been collecting data, and we are now at about 115 phone calls per day for needs right now. That's the average. So we are incorporating financial literacy at a stronger component, especially adults, and we will be getting a youth financial literacy in 2026. So those 2 are going on. And then, again, I'm going to skip down a little bit, but we do have a food and essential pantry. We do hot meals. We partner with a food truck, and we have been serving 90 a month. And we are going to be doubling that in 2026. A lot of that is delivered to those who are homebound right at this time, but we also encourage people to come in and have that as well. So we are thankful to the Valley Galley who partner with us for that program. The Essential Pantry is being built right now. You will see a lot of blue buckets. In fact, we didn't bring the blue bucket with us, but it will be here shortly. The Essential Pantry is those products that people might not be able to buy if they do receive their SNAP. It's something that's not covered. And so it's toiletries, it's paper products, it's stuff that might be adding up that can help them immensely going forward. And so that pantry is begun in the back of our building. It's a whole room dedicated to that as well. And behind that, or down below that on the list, is a diaper bank. We serve those in the Sarita, Green Valley, all the way down to Rio Rico with the diaper bank. It's $8,000 to $9,000 worth of products a month that we serve. So it's a lot. We have a couple people handling that and coordinating that, but that's infant all the way through adult as well. So part of our other programs, before I turn it over to Tony, is RN advocacy. I said we started fall prevention in 2010. We do have a lot of different support groups. We have a nurse practitioner on our staff, as well as another RN. And we do grief support. We do socialization for seniors. And, those are very important nowadays with what's going on. We do a lot of health education and RN advocacy and medication management. So those are the community health programs that we do. I'm going to turn it over to Tony for transportation.
Mayor, Town Council, I just want to say that our transportation has grown by leaps and bounds within the program we have. We transport clients to non-emergency medical appointments, specialty appointments in Tucson. They call and give us 3 days notice before we take them to those various appointments. We do errands and we deliver food. Recently, we were awarded a telehealth vehicle, a van for Santa Cruz County that has an internet booster, and we are developing hubs to take that telemedicine van into those rural communities and allow them to interface with doctors from Nogales, Tucson, and beyond. We were just awarded a second van. It will be here, we hope, in February or March for Pima County, and we will be looking for places as hubs for that vehicle as well. We hope through our funders that we get great use out of these vehicles. We are, quite frankly, a little afraid of the use that'll come and whether we can keep up with that. So currently, we do about 659 trips per month. We anticipate it will triple once both of these vehicles are on the road. So we're very pleased to have this opportunity, but the effects will be interesting to see. I will also add that one thing that Chris didn't mention is we have dedicated a staff person and 2 volunteers to the school district's resource centers, one here in Sarita and one down in Sopri. And that will, I think they just got their walking papers, all their certificates and fingerprint clearances to start on that project. You're up.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, thanks.
And Chris, before you go
Yes.
there, I just want to let Tony know,
Yep.
with the RTA Next coming and such, we had a presentation at our last meeting about microtransit, and I'm really excited about that, but I do, want you to know I am advocating because they're putting these, bubbles, Marana, Oro Valley, us in Green Valley, Ajo, and some other areas. But the ones, because of population, that obviously don't get mentioned is Amato and Arivaca and Elephant Head and those areas. So I just want you to know, and it's not within the town boundaries, but I am fighting for the region as a whole as much as possible. And I know that's where a lot of these vans, come in handy. But it's unfortunately, it's about numbers in some cases.
Right.
And I briefed Supervisor Allen recently about this because those are the areas that she serves as well.
So I will say our program was featured in the AZ Transit upcoming conference, and we provided pictures and background for that. And we do participate in all of the transit meetings via web.
Nice, thanks.
One thing on the transportation, we do serve 750 households that are homebound. So that is quite a lot when we do they average about 2 rides a week on that.
Do you have a percentage about how many of those are Sahuarita, within this town boundaries?
I
as
can
opposed
get
to-
that for you. I
Okay,
don't
just
have it with
curious.
me
No, it's fine.
tonight, but yeah,
Okay, thanks.
yep. Also, we do have on the social service side is friendly visits and friendly phone calls, and those are keeping a lot of the older adults connected. We have over 1,400 calls per month that a volunteer team does to help those older adults stay connected and socialize and just it's a friendly phone call. It's quite different than a telecare visit or call. So it's just more of a friendly phone call. And then we do have friendly visits that volunteers do go out and visit people in their homes. The couple other ones are listed are the Senior Holiday Program and Vita Taxes. Those two, the Vita Taxes we've had both in the evening and daytime for various ages. And then Senior Holiday Program is going to take place next week, and that does serve Sarita. So half of that is Sarita and rural Sarita for those seniors who are not able to receive or have family near during the holidays.
members.
That's me? Okay, that's me. Program, MAP program. So this is the program that you are all supporting, so thank you very much. We help 12 households per week if we can, and 3 homeless households a week. So we are seeing 1 to 3. The growing number is seniors that are now becoming homeless. We do have, like I said, the rental, the mortgage, the utility assistance, and then we help them with all the other stuff that comes in between. So,
And I would add, when we talk about homeless, a lot of people ask, where are they at? We don't see them. Take some time in the Walmart parking lot. You will see people who are living in their cars in the Walmart parking lot, walking around there. These are the people that come to us. We have them come from the rest area on I-19. They want to stay where there's restrooms and water more than anything else. And so we do see them from the town itself coming in. Also, when Tucson cleaned up the 100-acre woods or whatever they called that, we had a surge come through here that we supported as well.
so one thing we do is we do a lot in the town of Sarita or Sarita area. We go out and do, this one is an education at a park. So we are out on the go all the time, which leads us to looking at the new van that will be in Pima County and a possible Health on the Go with that van here as well. So we are going to people. Sometimes that's nice to go to instead of them coming to you. You don't want to sit and wait. You want to really get out there and make sure that you're available and supporting them in their own neighborhood or community. The other thing is we do health screenings, blood pressures, checks, and health education. And so we are kind of a health advocate or RN advocate to get them back to providers and health educators or specialty providers. A lot of those that are older adults are foregoing their visits. They either don't have the transportation to go or they just don't want to go. Sometimes it is being afraid of what's happening and the diagnosis that might be taking place, and we try to ease that and support that up so they have it.
So our workforce development programs, you have to excuse me, I had a little bit of a cold I'm still getting over. What you're looking at actually is we do one that's intergenerational, where we partner a student who is graduating from high school with a senior who is re-entering the workforce. And the idea behind that is the senior can provide some work ethic so that a youth or a graduate from the school district knows that when you go to a job, you don't switch every 2 weeks. You kind of stick it out and make it work. The youth can impart some technological education on the senior. And so what you see is that happening. The Snapchat program, which is the program for folks who are meeting qualifications to receive an EBT card. We have a set curriculum that we've received from the USDA, from the federal government, that our educators have to follow. As a matter of fact, we have been in the process of building a space to actually perform classes. To receive an EBT card, those individuals have to have 20 hours of education as part of maintaining their EBT card. And that's sort of in perpetuity. It's if they don't get a job, they have to continue taking the courses. We are endeavoring on a woman's workforce. I have to be honest, I haven't been involved in that, so I'll turn it back to you.
So we have, the other one is a women's workforce, specifically for women and those who might be working moms. And then also an older adult one, getting them back to, maybe going back in their 70s back to work when something might have happened or they had a medical expense that kind of took a lot of their reserve out. So we're working on that right now, and those are up and running. We won't stay long on that one. Everybody knows me, but the Santa Rita Fire Department, we thank them, we partner with them, and we are so glad that they are here in our community. We do a lot of fundraising, so the next question is, when all these funds cut, what happens? We increase the fundraising. So these are their next couple of things coming up. We have a hoedown and the Empty Bowls, which we have always a youth partnership with the Empty Bowls. That is great. Again, the community has rallied. The community is coming together, and I thank so much for the community, and I thank you for your support, especially for our MAP program and for helping those.
Just a quick question, because, it comes up, at least in my mind, each year, a little softball question. I'm sure you coordinate, with the food bank, so there's not, double dipping and all these other things. And just like the Community Resource Center, I know for years, if you're getting money, you have to take some financial literacy classes, which, has always excited me because, if you're just handing out money, but you're not doing anything different, right? At the end of the day, what's the positive outcome about it? And another softball question, I'm sure both of you could probably use additional funding from the town. Shane, can you just touch on how, as the manager, you determine each year, because as the need grows, the money's not endless, right?
We determine.
We determine, but through our budget retreat and all those kinds of things, can you just touch on a little bit on how you make those determinations, knowing, the needs there, but the money's not endless for all of our needs, including with the town, but, especially with these two? Just touch on that if you could a minute.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. It's going to be a bit of a high level in my response, but, we're now going into the budget process where each department is submitting their needs, and finance is providing the big picture in terms of what our forecasted year end looks like and what we might anticipate by way of new revenues coming in for the next fiscal year. And so it really is a bit of a balancing act where we juggle the needs of everybody and try to parse out what we can in terms of love for all of our needs collectively. So there's not a whole lot of strict science to it, except we got to see the big picture before we get into the nitty gritty. But we anticipate that there's going to be needs expressed by the food bank, by VAS, and we'll do our best to juggle that in the form of a budget presentation and recommendation to the mayor and council. It is important, and I'll just make a general statement. It's very important that we understand, and you'll sense staff trying to push our partner agencies to this point. We understand what is truly the need generated from our community. When you consider, the zip code for Sahuarita, it's much bigger than just our incorporated limits, and so it's very important, as I hope everybody can appreciate, that when we're talking about tax-generated dollars here in our community, that we want those dollars to serve people that live in our community. So I know that sounds a bit parochial, but it makes sense from the standpoint that that's where that revenue is generated. So we have now at our fingertips some AI help in the terms of a software called Placer AI that will offer information as a piece of the puzzle to help us understand where the need is hitting you from what source. But we'll rely a lot on the information that you're able to provide us in terms of helping to quantify what that need really is for our community.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate that.
I would add, Mayor Murphy, that we do check parcel numbers.
Yep.
We are required to by Pima County, so we know where everybody who receives funding lives, and we try to be very strict on how we delegate those funds based on parcel numbers.
Right, thanks. Yeah, I didn't think about the parcel numbers, because that's separate from zip codes and such.
Many of the funders are auditors as well, so we have those once a year. So we are very strict on the guidelines and zip codes and addresses.
Right, thank you. Councilmember Priel?
Hi, Penny. So when I was at a Sahuarita Winds meeting, Penny was there from the food bank, and she was presenting to the group at the Sahuarita Winds meeting that the number of people within the town were increasing in their food requirements. And so that was something that Shane Dilley and I discussed and came up with the issue of you can't define by the zip code whether you're a resident of Sahuarita. So we had the idea that since we implemented waste connections and our own solid waste provider, if you've got a brown Sahuarita garbage can, you are a resident of Sahuarita. So is there a way of asking, do you have a brown Sahuarita garbage can? Or do you have waste connections? Because without, that makes it real clean and simple, then you are a resident of Sahuarita, because just what he said, I share the concern we would want our resource dollars going to our residents. Is that something that could be done easily?
Tracking based on...
I would have to say, and this is spitballing, if you are strapped for cash, and if you are somebody who can't pay your mortgage and can't buy food, I doubt you're paying for your trash service.
Right. But the cans will be there, because everyone was delivered at the end of the day.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Chris, it's nice to see you. Nice to see you, Tony. In the past, we've had groups that have gone, because I'm connected with several youth service groups, and I know that there's been a time that we went down and stuffed holiday bags for the homebound, and I helped collect books or toys or something that I brought down before, and then you mentioned the empty bowls. The groups that I work with, there's about 5 groups of youth that connections. They usually do their schedules for, well, like at least a month in advance usually. So if we can get in advance so that we can make sure, we haven't asked us to do the holiday stuff bags, but if you need us to do that, we can try to figure that out. But I know that the kids always love doing empty bowls.
Sure.
So
Great.
I got the date.
Good.
And you usually need about 10 to 12. So
Perfect.
I will start working on that for you.
Sounds good.
'Kay.
Thank you.
You know, and similarly, Adventures with Friends, I know, helps the food bank and the backpack, weekend program that they do. So, it's back to what you said, community supporting community.
Yep.
And it's people with different, abilities, but there's a place I think everybody can contribute, especially in strap times, to Shane's point, well, I have so many resources. But, it's, besides treasure, there's time and other things that we can help give at the same time. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? Well, thanks.
One quick
Oh, yeah,
comment.
Yeah.
We do give tours, and I know some of you have taken advantage of that, but we invite you to come down and see our operation, meet some of our employees, and see what it is we do firsthand. We would love to have you come down.
Yeah, and to my colleagues, I'd recommend it because I've been a couple times, and, whether it's the food bank or VAS, to see the good things that are going on, it just gives you a different perspective on where the need is and how much is being provided to our community. Thanks. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Madam Clerk, item 9A.
Ordinance number 2025-191, regarding a public hearing, presentation, discussion, and possible adoption. Declaring the document entitled Town of Sahuarita, amending Title 18 zoning, Chapter 18.05, zones, maps, and boundaries, in Section 18.05. 010 zones as a public record, adopting the Town of Sahuarita, amending Title 18 zoning, Chapter 18.05 zones, maps, and boundaries, Section 18.05.010 zones by reference by amending Title 18 zoning, Chapter 18.05 zones, maps, and boundaries, Section 18.05.010 zones, providing for a repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for penalties, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Anna Cassidy, our Community Development Director, will introduce the item, present it, and for my colleagues, we'll have a public hearing. And she promised me the presentation was going to be shorter than the introduction. So, Anna, please proceed.
Good evening, Mayor Murphy, members of the council. I do think my presentation will be shorter than the agendization of this item. This is a very simple housekeeping item for our zoning code. Back in 2023, we overhauled our residential zones and streamlined them. Unnecessary zones were removed. We changed the name of another zone. There's a list of zones that's located in the front of the zoning code. We forgot to update it at the time. So all that this amendment does is it updates that list because it is not consistent with the 2023 modifications. Like I said, simple code cleanup. We are not changing any zoning boundaries. No properties are being rezoned. We're not changing any regulations, any permitted uses. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on November 3rd. No members of the public spoke, and the commission recommended approval in a 4-0 vote. A display ad was published in the Green Valley News on November 23rd, and we have not received any comments to date. There's a recommended motion up on the screen for you. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yep, thank you. I'll ask for questions first, and then I'll open up the public hearing, and then entertain a motion. But does anybody have any questions for Anna on this particular item? Seeing no questions, I'll open the public hearing. I have no speaker cards for this item. Anybody like to address the council on this particular item? Seeing no movement, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2025-193.
I second.
Well, that would be 191.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one on my screen.
That's okay.
191.
Thank you.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And we are to item number 9B. Madam Clerk?
Public hearing, presentation, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 2025-192, declaring the document entitled Town of Sahuarita, amending Title 18 zoning, Chapter 18.09, general residential and rural zoning provisions, and Section 18.09.020, general requirements and exceptions, as a public record. Adopting the Town of Sahuarita, amending Title 18 zoning, Chapter 18.09, general residential and rural zoning provisions, Sections 18.09.020, general requirements and exceptions by reference. Amending Title 18 zoning, Chapter 18.09, general residential and rural zoning provisions, Section 18.09.020, general requirements and exceptions, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for penalties, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. In my official mayoral language, I'm going to say ditto. And Anna, you're up, and please proceed.
Thanks again, Mayor Murphy, members of the council. This code amendment is in response to SB 1308, which was signed into law in 2025, and this new bill requires a process for reasonable accommodations for sober living homes. It applies to any jurisdiction that has a zoning requirement that has a separation distance between these types of homes, which we do have. Here in the town of Sahuarita, a sober living home falls within the definition of a group care home. A group care home is defined as a single-family home serving 7 to 10 residents who require special care for disabilities. The purpose of these group care homes being located in a residential setting is to provide the residents with a more of a home environment versus an institutional feel. It can be important for rehabilitation and just for general quality of life. Our town code does require a 1,200-foot separation between group care homes. In order to prepare this amendment, we consulted with the Department of Law, and we have a proposed process that complies with the new state law as well as with the Federal Fair Housing Act. It's important to note that regardless of whether we adopt this amendment or not, we are still legally required to provide reasonable accommodations. What this amendment does is it offers parameters and guidance for approval of reasonable accommodations. It would be a zoning administrator decision or planning director. The town code defines those two positions as being the same person. And it is nice when you have to make these types of decisions to have some guidelines by which to make them. We held a public hearing with the Planning and Zoning Commission on November 3rd. We did have one member of the public speak. They didn't have a concern. They did ask a question, which was answered, and that was the end of it. Their question was on public notification and public notice. The commission also had several questions on that. And we did respond with some of the legal requirements that we actually cannot release the address of a sober living home application. So it's pretty strict in that regard. The commission did vote to recommend approval in a 4-0 vote. We published a display ad in the Green Valley News on November 23rd as required, and we've had no public comments to date. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thanks. Just a quick question. What's the procedure if someone wants to start a sober living home? Do they have to, go through you and you know where the other ones are to help comply with these standards? Just a quick overview on just sort of how that process works. Because I know from the real estate perspective, when there's someone selling a home, you can't comment on various homes, next to you, right? You're not even allowed to disclose that as a realtor. But from your perspective, how does that whole process to get a sober living home in to the town, how does that work?
They typically start with the state. The state licensure requires that they comply with zoning guidelines, so they will approach the state first, and then they approach the Planning and Zoning Division and ask for a letter stating that they're in compliance, and we have records.
And this kind of piggybacks off of this, right? For the 1,200 separation and
Yes.
having a reasonable accommodation and all of those things.
Yes, so if somebody needed a reasonable accommodation to either the number of residents or that separation distance, they would have to apply separately to the Planning and Zoning Division, asking for that reasonable accommodation and explaining the reasons for it. They would have to follow the guidelines that are spelled out in this amendment, and then they would receive the decision and be able to proceed to the state with that.
Great, thank you, I appreciate that. Any other comments to Anna before I open up the public hearing? Hearing none, I will declare the public hearing open. I have no cards for this particular item. Would anybody like to address the council on this item? Seeing no movement, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor, can I redeem myself?
Yes, you can.
All right, I move to adopt ordinance number 2025-192.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, item 9C.
Public hearing, presentation, discussion, and possible adoption of ordinance number 2025-193, declaring the document entitled Town of Sahuarita, amending Title 18 zoning, amending Chapter 18.69 subdivision standards, Sections 18.69.040, design standards, 18.69.060, review procedures, and 18.69.070, assurance requirements as a public record. Adopting the Town of Sahuarita, amending Title 18 zoning, amending Chapter 18.69 subdivision standards, Sections 18.69.040, design standards, 18.69.060, review procedures, and 18.69.070, assurance requirements by reference, amending Title 18 zoning by amending Chapter 18.69 subdivision standards, Sections 18.69.040, design standards, 18.69.060, review procedures, and 18.69.070, assurance requirements, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for penalties, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. And Anna's going again, and I'm excited about this one because kind of the mantra, faster, easier, cheaper. This is going to take something off our plate. So Anna, if you want to touch on this.
Yes, thanks. Once again, Mayor Murphy, members of the council, and thank you to Lisa for reading all of that. So this was another code amendment that is required by a new state law, HB 2447, signed into law in 2025, requires administrative processes for approval of several application types, including tentative plats, final plats, and site plans. And just a little bit of background for those in the room who maybe don't know what those are. A tentative plat is when you take a large tract of land and you conduct a feasibility analysis for dividing it into separate properties for sale or lease. So a tentative plat is something that we've already had an administrative process for. I can't remember how many years ago, but it was a long time ago that we took out the commission process for that. It's an administrative function. If it meets code, we have to approve it. So taking it through a hearing process is really just slowing down the process, and there's really no ability for the public to influence the outcome of those decisions. The final plat takes that tentative plat, or preliminary plat as they're called in some places, and it creates the legal document to divide those lots so that they can be recorded, assessed, and sold or leased. The final plat we have been taking to council on the consent agenda. It's another administrative function. There's really no ability to influence the outcome. If it meets code, the council is required to approve it. Thus, it's been on the consent agenda as just daily business. And that is what we are taking out of the code as a result of this state law. The site plan is another area where we've been conducting an administrative process for many, many years. A site plan also is called a development plan, and that is basically a zoning layout of how you're going to design your site to meet zoning requirements and engineering studies. So we are here tonight just to amend the final plat process. That's the only area where we were already not compliant with state law. And there is an implementation date of January 1, 2026. So the town code, like I said, does require council approval of the final plat. It also requires council pre-approval of private streets. Now, the state law did not require us to remove that pre-approval of private streets, but it seemed unnecessary. So we are also taking that out. The amendment that has been prepared is compliant with the new state law, and taking out the private streets requirement also, or the pre-approval for private streets, streamlines the process further. There are certain dedications that may or may not require council approval. I'm still working with the town attorney through some of these checklist items and procedural questions, but for now, the big question is this amendment, complying with state law, and taking the council process out. If there are items that need to receive council approval, I will work that out with the town attorney. We held a public hearing at the Planning and Zoning Commission December 1st, so this is being fast-tracked. We got kind of a late start on it. So they just held their meeting a week ago. They did vote 4-0 in favor. I've updated this slide, so if you looked at the slide shown in your packet, this one has some updates. We did not have any members of the public speak at that public hearing. We published a display ad in the Green Valley News November 23rd, and this morning we received a letter of support from the Southern Arizona Home Builders Association, which you all should have received. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and if not, there's a recommended motion up on the screen.
Thank you. Any questions for staff before I open the public hearing? Seeing no questions, I'll open the public hearing. I have no speaker cards on this item. Would anybody like to address the council? Seeing no movement, I will close the public hearing, and I think the Green Valley News must be very happy with us because we always have these display ads that we have to publish in here. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to adopt ordinance number 2025-193.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Anna. Madam Clerk, item number 10A.
Discussion and possible action regarding a reimbursement agreement between the general fund and the GAR Samtech Fund.
Thank you. And Mr. Mariotti, our Finance and Technology Director, who never seems to age. I don't know if it's just working with those numbers or whatever it is, but he's here this evening to present this item, and welcome.
I married young, maybe that has
That's
something
what
to
it
do
is.
with it. Yeah, so. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this item formalizes a payment schedule to reimburse the general fund for its investment in the Samtech facility. So between August 2022 and June 2025, the general fund paid $2,054,025.60 for tenant improvements at the Samtech facility. Those costs were anticipated. They were approved in the budget, and they really stem from those tenant lease agreements with the 3 tenants that we now have in the facility. So lease revenues are generated in the GARS Samtech Fund, and these revenues cover well over the amount of the operation and maintenance costs of the facility. In the fiscal year 2026 budget, the excess is expected to be around $294,000. And because these leases are triple net, that $294,000 excess will probably live on over the term of those leases, which are their 10-year leases.
For those that don't know, could you just touch on triple net real quick?
Yeah, triple net basically says that all of the costs associated with maintaining the facility and operations are going to be covered by the tenants through the lease.
And
I
includes
forgot exactly
cams
what
and
the
other things.
Yeah, there's common area maintenance costs that are included in that, taxes, insurance, things of that nature fall under that.
Thanks.
So those invariably will go up over time, but because these are triple net leases, the lease revenues will also go up to cover those additional costs. So excess funds were always anticipated to repay the general fund for its investment. Now, the rate of return on that investment is not a percentage like most interfund loans are, and that's why we're calling this a reimbursement agreement instead of an interfund loan agreement. And we can't charge interest because that facility was built using a $3 million EDA grant, Economic Development Authority. It's part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. So those revenues that are generated are restricted. So we can't charge ourselves interest and recapture that in the general fund. So what's the investment? What's the rate of return on that investment? It was the jobs. So we were going for jobs when we entered into this arrangement with the EDA. So the last bank statement that was provided to us by the property management company indicated that there was about $590,000 of cash available in that account. So as such, we're proposing the following repayment schedule. On June 30, 2026, to repay $500,000 to the general fund. And then thereafter on June 30 each year through year 2033 to repay approximately $222,034 to the general fund. So this arrangement repays the general fund within 10 years of the year of the initial disbursement for the first tenant improvement, and that would have been for Power Photonics. And that was something that was always contemplated when we entered into this arrangement. You know, a lot of times when the general fund makes an investment of some sort or another from an economic development standpoint, we're looking at about within a 10-year payback. So this would be true to that concept that we've talked about previously. This also allows the GARS Samtec Fund to retain some of its money in its account, and that can be used for any cost contingencies that might not be covered with triple net, other things that arise, but it could also be used for certain economic development opportunities that may present themselves over the next 10 years. So don't know what those could be, and we're still trying to flesh out exactly how those funds could be used. Getting answers from the federal government can be tricky at times, and this is a season where it is tricky. But we know that public work economic development activities would certainly qualify. There are other activities that appear to be allowable as well, but we need clarity on that before we would commit to anything. And any arrangement that we develop would obviously entail the council's feedback and approval. So with that, Mr. Mayor, you have the repayment schedule before you.
Yep, thank you. Any questions for AC before I entertain a motion? This does not require a public hearing like last three did. If not, I will entertain a motion at this time. What's that?
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
I move to approve the proposed interfund reimbursement agreement.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed by nay? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item 10B.
Discussion and possible action regarding the 2026 legislative session priorities and goals.
Thank you. Luke Smith, our management analyst, will be presenting this item, sitting to my left.
Yes.
Good evening, and thank you for being here.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I am going to propose for your adoption the town's 2026 legislative priorities. These priorities have been refined based on your feedback and guided by our legislative objectives, which for the town are protect local control, protect town revenue streams, advocate on behalf of the town's needs as a growing community, and prioritize public safety and community. As we look forward to the 2026 legislative session, we can kind of see how those objectives for the town comprehensively cover much of the anticipated legislation for this next session. Specifically, if we look at local control, we're anticipating legislation on starter homes, zoning, and historic exemptions or exemptions for historic properties. We're expecting preemption, especially in regards to economic development data centers. In other words, preemption of local control by the state for these initiatives. Legislation requiring voter approval for sales tax increases, executive session transparency, and under town revenues, our objective for protecting town revenues. There's going to be legislation on tax conformity, exempt property taxes for paid in full primary residences, raising the assessment ratio on investor-owned properties, cap contributions on the PSP retirement system, and under town growth, or that objective, we're expecting state land reform legislation, capacity fees, infrastructure development financing specifically for wastewater, and revitalization district prompt pay initiatives to speed up payment for those districts. And then finally, something regarding underground utility, Blue Stake, or now Arizona 811, I believe is what it's called. And then under our final objective, we're expecting legislation on reauthorizing the Craig-Tiger Act, which provides mental health and trauma counseling for first responders, law enforcement presumption for melanoma, SB 1500 erroneous convictions amendment, and possibly lowering the retirement age on the PSP retirement system from 55 to 50. And many of these things overlap, especially like when we look at the retirement system cap contributions versus lower retirement age. If they lower the retirement age, then contribution rates may have to increase to fund that. But we can see, so based on what we see coming up, or what we think will be coming up in the next session, our active priorities for the town, and these are the ones that we will be most proactive about and actively lobby and seek dedicate resources to. The numbers are, again, just for reference. It doesn't indicate this is the number one priority. Number one would be advocating for streamlining of Arizona's municipal annexation process and support orderly growth of municipalities. 2 is to collaborate on workforce housing policy initiatives to promote affordable housing options while maintaining local control. 3, advocate for sustainable transportation funding through grants and partnerships to maintain and improve municipal infrastructure. 4, engage proactively in discussions on state shared revenues and rental tax replacement to protect municipal funding. And 5, promote the development of commercial and industrial projects that strengthen Sarita's economic base while prioritizing community safety and the sustainable use of resources. I'll pause there to see if council has any questions.
Thanks. Did you actually say we're looking forward to the legislative session? I'm not sure if the senator and Karen would agree with that.
I may have misspoken there. All right.
Just throwing that out there.
Okay.
Any questions, any feedback? Shane?
Mayor and Council, I just wanted to reemphasize the importance of your feedback tonight, because this really sets the stage for your legislative priorities going into the next legislative session. So this is our second pass at this, and we've hopefully gleaned your input on the first pass. This is nearly final form, so this is an opportunity before we hit the print.
Right. No, we appreciate that, and thanks for the willingness to work with us on there. I think it meets, the parameters that we had discussed, and also remembering, serving on the executive committee. I'm always cognizant of all of you and taking you with me on there. Plus, and 3 of us took advantage of it last year. There's the subcommittees of the league too. So not only do we have to somewhat worry about what we're talking about, but also others that submit that may, reflect our value set or may not. So I appreciate everybody's willingness to serve on those subcommittees and kind of be an overwatch, for us from a town's perspective.
Yeah, and I failed to mention, not only does this become our playbook as staff when we're engaging our legislature, but this is also the playbook for your legislative ambassador, who's Diane Priolo, Councilman Priolo. So.
And our intergov and our lobby.
Yep.
So it becomes everybody's playbook.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody seem good with this? Any other feedback? No? Thank you. Are you finished with the presentation?
Almost.
Almost, okay.
We got a couple more slides here. Specific priorities are ones more about the town or the needs that the town has identified. So 6 is advancing the redevelopment and annexation of the FUD sites. 7 is supporting modernizing the public notice and meeting requirements to improve transparency, accessibility, and efficiency to reduce or eliminate associated costs. And 8, supporting updating Arizona state law to clarify sentencing guidelines for schools on drug offenses, ensuring enforceable penalties, and improving student safety. And then our final 2 I thought I saw a hand go up. Our final 2 are just more general, where we'll monitor, where we'll monitor the activities going on. So 9 is support the league and state legislative activities as they align with the legislative objectives of the town. And 10 to monitor and the same activities to see if we need to reassess the town's priorities or adjust our strategies. Right? And I believe your packets in front of you have an outline of all of these objectives, along with how they correlate with our strategic plan, and some talking points for you in the rationale and position statements that for like a cheat sheet of sorts. All right. And as I move to any questions and the recommended motion.
Yeah, no, thank you. And the thing I've learned over time, I don't know, Karen, how many bills dropped last time, and actually how many made it to, sort of the worry stage, I guess you would say?
Nearly 2,000. Karen, would you come up to the mic, please? Thank you.
Sorry, for the recording purposes. I guess I could have asked Luke too, but.
I'm sorry. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Karen Cruz, for the record. Karen Cruz with the Cruz Group. I'm your contract lobbyist down at the state capitol and work very closely with Luke. The number was just shy of about 1,800 bills that were introduced last year, of which around 250 ended up making all the way through and either signed or vetoed. It's around in that area. So
Right.
there's a lot of fur
Activity,
flying
right.
in the beginning, and everybody worries about a lot of bills that get introduced initially. They're all important until they fall off, which there are deadlines built in where there kind of is natural fall off. So then we start to really worry after those points.
Right, and thank you for that. And that's what I wanted to express early on. I'd kind of like get excited about all of them, and then you go, no, first, that's not good for your blood pressure. And 2, really you have to focus your energy where it might actually help, or, either promoting good bills or killing bad bills. But that's why I think it's important, with our InterGov and having a lot of us, represented at the state level, the league, ambassador, and then working with you to really monitor when it's time to get nervous or be proactive on those types of issues. So, thank you. I just wanted to put that on the table. So
We'll definitely be putting you to work this year.
Right, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Luke or Shane? Seeing none, I'm entertain a motion at this time.
I move to adopt the 2026 legislative priorities and goals as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by nay? This passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Next, Madam Clerk, item number 11A.
Study session regarding a 2025 update to the rules of procedure.
Thank you. I do have a speaker card on this, so I think what I'd like to do, because, this is a study session, and we received an email from this particular speaker, I thought it'd be good if we let Dan go first, put some of the thoughts on the table as we start this discussion. Dan, if you'd like to come up, I think you know how the light system works, right?
I do. And I buy ink by the barrel.
Yes, you do. We do know that.
Go ahead and cut me
paper
off.
by the rolls.
My name is Dan Shear. I'm a resident of Sahuarita. I have been a journalist for 40 years, and this is the first time I have ever stepped up at call to the public, which I hope speaks to how important I think this item is to me and to my organization. It is about, 11A is about relegating journalists to the back of the room to cover meetings, and I'm just simply going to read the email that I sent to you all this afternoon. The Sahuarita Sun and Green Valley News and WIC Communications oppose this proposed change. Currently, a public body can already clear the room if a meeting becomes genuinely disruptive. In these cases, and I have been involved in a couple, media that are not part of the disruption are allowed back in to continue covering proceedings. The proposed policy is an overreaction to recent events that we are all aware of. While there were uncomfortable moments in the chambers, they were no more so than when waves of Quail Creek residents concerned over Vulcan filled the chamber, or residents whose homes were in the way of the I-11 demanded to know why the previous town manager backed it early on. These events come with the territory, and councils have endured them without restricting press or public access. In our case, this decision would relegate our journalists to the camera corral, since the reporter is also the photographer. It would do the same, we presume, for parents who want to photograph their children getting an award. Then there are the town's own communications people. Will they be allowed any closer than the back row? If so, that would offer access to a town employee to cover an event that is not also afforded members of the working press. The town attorney's reasoning is odd at best. He writes, quote, "Bottom line is that people walking to and fro with cameras is distracting and disruptive to the meeting. How about the people coming in late? Distracting and disruptive? Those who leave after the awards are handed out. People in ugly Christmas sweaters, shoes with lights, sequined flag hats. It's nonsensical reasoning. This policy is unreasonable, disruptive, and borders on censorial. I'd encourage the council not to make any changes and simply deal with the challenges that arise. And the next time you address something that impacts the press, please invite us to the discussion." Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. So at this time, Lisa, our town clerk. Whoop. Oh, did you want to say? Yeah. Just make sure you submit the, fill out the card. I think you know.
Do you want me to do that now? Or?
No, afterwards. Just for the record.
My apologies, I'm Dave Verwise. Some of you know me and some of you don't. But and I came unprepared, so I'm sorry for not filling out the card. But if it's possible to table this for future, I would love the opportunity to talk to some of you. I'm a long-term and formerly highly credentialed member of the press, so I don't come here on any side of this, but I do come with decades of experience, and I don't want to see anything happen here prematurely. We have had an issue in the past that put the town actually in odds with federal law, with the decision the council made, and I would hate to see that happen again. So I'm glad to fill you in on an individual basis and show you the documents and establish my credentials. But if it's possible to table it for a further meeting, that might be advised. And
right.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, this is a study session, so I don't necessarily expect any action from that. It would just be a conversation. That's why I wanted to allow the both of you, what Dan had submitted, to put some of those things on the table before we started the study session.
Mr.
Thanks.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'll just further clarify, there can't be any action tonight.
Right.
This is a study session only, meant to just air the topic publicly and allow the council to receive feedback and have you guys discuss amongst yourself the manner in which you want your meetings to proceed. The proposed amendment is an amendment to the Rules of Procedure document that you approved, almost 2 years ago?
2023.
Oh, 2020, so, yeah, 2 years. Okay, 2 years ago. So with that, and I don't believe there's anything in front of you tonight that would be in violation of federal law, but this is an opportunity for you to receive feedback and to ask questions amongst yourself and the members of the public if you choose. This is your document. It's a matter of how you want your meetings to proceed, and staff is here to support whatever decision you guys make.
Right. Thank you. Lisa?
Thank you for that introduction. Mr. Dilly, I'll skip right to what the meeting and decorum of order revision that is being proposed. The current language, unless disruptive, live streaming, audio, video recording, and photography are allowed during the meeting. The proposed language is live streaming, audio, video recording, and photography may be conducted from the back of the council chambers behind the final row of attendee seating unless determined by the presiding officer to be disruptive to the meeting. This was the only change that we received or was requested. This particular change is not meant to prevent anyone from actually photographing or videoing. It is really to not have disruptions during the meeting and to preserve the view of the audience. At this time, we are welcoming suggestions, discussions, and if there are other changes that you would like to propose to your rules, we are willing to discuss those and listen.
Yep. No, thank you, Lisa.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry, just by way of context.
Yeah,
Just, this is coming forward because of a number of comments that have been made outside of those public meetings by members of the council in terms of what they experienced and what can be done to help moving forward in terms of that experience. So that's all this is. Again, I'll reemphasize that it's your document, it's your rules of procedure. The outcome and how you want this to play out when and if this thing comes back in front of you for formal action, we're here to take that feedback.
Yeah, no, well, one, I appreciate, both Dave and Dan commenting. But even just tonight, I was reflecting on if Lisa or you, Shane, or John could touch on it, because, we took pictures, right, of the pledge leaders with me during the meeting. Actually, technically, it was before the meeting. But we've had, people, proclamations and presentations and awards where we have both our internal and external, photographers, parents and other things. Would any of that, would that be prevented based on this kind of comment? And if not, how do I, as the presiding officer, how do I pick and choose, tonight, because it's a good proclamation or a good presentation, we're okay to take the pictures at the podium or near it, as opposed to not? I guess that would be my first question, my first thought.
Mayor and Council, I could, from my perspective, this, in the same manner that the staff can sit up here or the council can sit up there, the question came up, what about staff photography? Well, that's different because that's, staff and employees have a different role and a different function in terms of coming up and either being presenting from this side dais or there or so I don't think it would necessarily, from a legal standpoint, doesn't have to preclude staff or employees from, conducting their function of recording or taking a picture, for instance. If you wanted to, you could always allow for exceptions. If you were to adopt a rule like this, you can always create an exception, for a request or something. But typically, if you're just talking about a staff or employee type function, then that's a different set of rules because, we don't let the general public up here, for instance, to speak.
Right.
So I think the same would apply from
Right.
a legal standpoint.
But I just have one point before I go to Shane. But I know, like, when we had the ESGR here, and we had the general down, and, Darren came, and, he photographed the whole event, so it wasn't technically staff, I guess. And I guess for my colleagues, I'd love to hear your input, do you believe it is an overreach or an overreaction to that? Because those things don't happen to us very often. I took control of it probably a little late, especially when there was dialogue going on in a particular incident. So, those are just some initial thoughts. Shane?
Thank you. Two thoughts come to mind as I hear the dialogue going. That there is a portion of your routine agenda where most of that photography stuff happens, whether it's a parent coming to take a picture of their kid doing the Pledge of Allegiance, or it's staff and maybe others taking a picture, Mayor, of you and maybe some of the council down on a proclamation that's really important or what have you. That's pretty much contained within a certain part of your agenda. I could see framing language that identifies that part of the agenda and then other parts of the agenda. I could see that. But I also, I put the question back to the council. If this language isn't hitting the spot for you, what are you wanting to accomplish in your meeting? And then we'll frame language that supports that. I
Right.
guess I'll just put it back that
Yep,
way.
yep, thank you. Diane? Mike?
I am in favor of that language, and I appreciate it very much. And I was here during the Vulcan CUP3, and also before that, the rezoning at La Cañada, where these council chambers were filled with people very impassioned about their position and emotions running high. It was a completely different experience than this that we are, that engendered this change. So I see them completely differently, and I respectfully disagree with you, Mr. Scherer, and I am in favor of that being adopted.
I guess I'd put on the table, but when we had those Vulcan and La Cañada, as well as years before when we had the cell tower, there was a lot of passion about that over off of Las Quintas. But there were people in the audience, respectfully, filming, with their cameras and things. So I guess a little bit of my worry is, would I be, if they're sitting there quietly, because everybody's a photographer, everybody's a journalist now, sitting in the audience, then as the presiding officer, do I have to tell them respectfully to move back, into the corral, so to speak?
Again, Mayor, it sounds like you have some concerns about this language up here. Why don't you help us understand what you want to accomplish in terms of the experience that you had? I mean, forget that language up there.
Right.
But
Yeah, I guess it would be
the
more
experience
of-
that you had as a council, what would you like to try to accomplish, if anything?
Yeah,
And
no-
then we'll help with the language.
Right, no, I guess from my perspective is, because again, it doesn't happen very often, is it's up to me to interject, sooner rather than later on what's disruptive and what's not disruptive. And unfortunately or fortunately, that does fall on me, I guess, to come up with that rationale. We've had discussions on if it becomes disruptive, I can recess a meeting, once, twice, 3 times. If that continues, we could go Zoom, so I guess I'm struggling from that perspective on, again, because it doesn't happen very often, it probably just, a lot of it becomes up to me to be a little stronger on when it feels disruptive. So I'm going to go with Dr. Gillespie, the Vice Mayor, and then, actually, Dr. Gillespie, Debbie, and then the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually like the current language because it has that unless disruptive phrase in it, and I agree that maybe jumping in a little bit earlier in previous meetings is all really that was needed, because
Right.
once that was addressed, I think things simmered down.
It did, because a lot of it was about the conversation, and I was semi-okay. I should have gone in earlier because when AC was presenting, it was hard for me to understand. And it was literally a little bit less about the photography. It was more about the talking, incessantly. And then when it moved over, it even became more difficult. And that's when I felt like I, at that point should have, had to, I guess from my perspective, interject where I probably should have earlier. So again, it's probably up to me to determine a less disruptive, right? Because I'm back to the folks during Vulcan that were just filming, very quietly. So it really wasn't disruptive, to your point, Dr. Gillespie. At that point, it's when it became disruptive where I had more difficulties with it on there. That's just my quick thought reaction. Debbie?
I've never witnessed the media or parents being disrespectful or disruptive while taking pictures, and I don't think that they should be punished for one incident that took place a few months ago.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I echo Gillespie's and Morales's comments of some of the thoughts that I have written down, that we shouldn't punish the entire group due to one or two people's disruptive behavior. I think we need to focus on what to do when there's disruptive behavior than trying to prevent everyone from recording where they're sitting. So to me, it's one of those things like, and I hadn't even thought I should have, but the idea that if the people are disruptive and do not calm down, that we can recess and not let them come back in.
Right.
That solves the problem. If they cannot be civil and allow the business to occur, then they need to be removed. And so if we can, and I'm not sure if that's in our code or in this decorum, but to me, it might be helpful to focus on what to do when a resident or a person in the audience is disruptive.
And I know that's one of the things we were trying to avoid, because the one that does make the press is when they're being dragged out, called to the public for expressing their views, I guess.
And their daughter is saying, "Mommy, where are you going?"
Right, why are you being arrested?
Let me be very clear. I don't, you asked them to stop.
Right.
And they did, right?
Right.
But if it continued, then you could recess, go talk to the people, you cannot do this. Have them try again. I mean, I'm a parent. You let them try again, and then it's 2 strikes, you're out. We would love for you to be here. You can now watch it on Zoom or watch it on YouTube with whatever you want. So that's, but I would not let them recess it, exit, have them go talk to them, whoever them is, we can determine, and then they just don't come back in. So they're not being dragged out of the room. We've recessed the room.
Right. Well, they have been dragged out, and not here, but other
Yes.
places.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'd like to talk about what the process would be when it's disruptive.
Yeah, John, do you want to just touch on that? For me as the, presiding officer, because it's always been taught to me over the years, everybody has the right to watch, to listen, to somewhat, I guess, participate, but not be disruptive. And I know that's a very hard line to determine, because one person's disruption, from my perspective, they're participating. Right.
Well, so your current policy does have rules of behavior, both for the council as well as residents or attendees of the meeting, and which you can enforce by ultimately, so gradually or ultimately removing a person or having a person removed. It really needs to be based on behavior, disruptive behavior, and not necessarily what they're saying, unless what they're saying truly is disruptive, and sometimes speech can do that. Like Shane said, it's up to the council as to what you want to do. If some of, there's, the proposed language could be modified to allow for people to film from a seated position. But if you're going to stand, you have to stand behind, because we do have rules. We did adopt rules, for instance, for the Vulcan hearing, that we didn't allow signs in, because signs being held up block people from behind their visibility. So, you could again, if the disruption, in my experience, comes in sort of two forms. One is verbal. And the other is blocking views. And so if people are free to sort of wander about, with cameras or with things, it can be disruptive to people who are sitting trying to watch. A lot of people, myself included, have to sort of see the lips move to really hear. Because if you are a little bit hard of hearing, and you aren't seeing the person's lips move, sometimes it's hard to understand what they're saying. So, there are those concerns, but I also think that the council can adopt sort of ad hoc rules as needed for particularly busy or well-attended meetings, that like we did with Vulcan, so that, if we anticipate a meeting, or if we know that there's going to be a meeting where people, might be crowding in there, we might be able to say for that particular meeting, hey, we're not going to allow signs in. In the same way, from a security perspective, we might not, at some point, not allow bags in, or we might have to search bags at some point. So, it's really up to you. I think, if you leave this in place as is, you know, you as the mayor, you're one vote.
Right.
So you're not an executive. Your sort of primary function, other than sort of externally, is to run the meeting efficiently and effectively, and to shut people down. And I know you and I had a conversation after that meeting. I think we were both driving north for the League of Cities, but, you know, and it really is a judgment call. I will tell you that these meetings, even the Vulcan meetings, are pretty tame,
right,
compared to some other places I've seen. You know, so is this, I guess the question is this a solution looking for a problem?
Right.
Or is it overreacting, overreach? You know, it really is your call. You have the authority to run the meeting, you as the council, to decide how the meeting's going to run, what the decorum is going to be like. And I would say I think it's important, again, this is more experience than it is legal advice, that the more formality and decorum you have in a meeting, I think the more effective and efficient it runs, and the more people respect it. If it's sort of a free-for-all, it makes it difficult for people to kind of follow along.
Right.
So, you know, maybe this proposed language isn't ready for prime time. You know, maybe it's something that you play by ear. And again, like I said, I'm comfortable that if we anticipate a meeting that's going to be particularly well attended on some potentially volatile or controversial issue, that we can adopt rules ahead of time. And you put it out on the website and put it out that say, hey, we're going to have a busy meeting, we're not going to allow for signs in, or we're not going to allow, or in that particular instance, you know, if you're going to stand and film, you need to stand in the back for that particular meeting, unless you're invited up or something like that. So we could do it ad hoc, but again, you know, out of the 12 or 14 meetings we have a year, most of them are people who are pretty well behaved, and so maybe you don't need a wholesale rule. Maybe we just do it as needed when we anticipate that it is going to be
Well,
needed.
that one incident, I did reflect on it because, to your point, John, you know, when there was a speaker and there were two people filming, you know, the speaker, like right there, right? One, I couldn't see the audience, right? So, you know, in that case, I was, you know, thinking at the time, well, you're free to, you know, film all you want, but, you know, you can't stand right there where the person sitting in the front row and the second row, right, they're literally being blocked, you know, from the dialogue. You know, that could have been me taking control of it and just say, hey, if you want to film, stand there.
Yeah, and you do have that, you know, you were right, Mayor, the public has the right to attend and watch, and does not have the right to speak, doesn't have the right to participate, except when it's a formal public hearing. Now, you're very liberal, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, very liberal in allowing people to speak on non-public hearing items. But not every item is entitled to have public comment on it. You tend to allow it, and that's your prerogative. At the same time, you know, you're running the meeting, and so you get to sort of shut people down if they're being disruptive. And it really is a judgment call. It's very difficult.
Right.
You know, there's no metric, there's no measurement, there's no number, there's no scale that you can say, oh, you've tipped it, now you're being disruptive. So you kind of have to use that, again, you know, use your experience and common
And I was
sense.
using me as the barometer because when AC was presenting, I still remember it, I literally couldn't hear, you know, and that was more about talking than it was about, you know, actually filming at that time. Shane, and then I know Councilmember Lytle, and then Kim, and then the Vice Mayor. So Shane.
Well, you're managing that great. The only cautionary that I'd have to the idea of going the ad hoc route very often is consistency. I think the closer you can get in your rules of procedure to how you want your meetings to function and run, Mayor, it gives you support in your responsibilities to facilitate these conversations, to chair these discussions, and so it helps you with that weight of responsibility, and so you're not, you know, you've got something to fall back on when you have to act, and so. While I appreciate the flexibility, and I agree totally with what John said about if we have a particularly, big issue and we know we're going to have a lot of people, and maybe it's contentious and what have you, we can come up with some ad hoc rules to help facilitate that discussion. The closer you can get in your rules of procedure to how you actually want your meetings to run on a regular basis, the easier it's going to be for you to do your responsibilities as a chair. So
Right.
I just
But
put that on the
again,
table.
I agree, and I think just part of it is I just have to be focused in, unless disruptive, right? And I guess that's my call. If it becomes disruptive, whether it's signs or blocking or
Well,
I
actually,
can't
just to
hear or-
clarify, there is either a point of order
Right.
or a point of privilege, that another council member can call point of order or point of privilege. I can't hear, Mayor. Would you please ask the gentleman to stop talking?
Right.
I mean, so the rest of the council does have that ability to call that out.
And I know in that case, there was a couple that were like 10 seconds away probably
Yeah.
from doing that.
But
I
just so the
happened
rest of
to-
the council knows, if you don't think the mayor is banging the gavel
Right.
quickly enough, and you're not able to,
Which I'd be
able
guilty
to
of,
hear,
I know
able to pay
that.
attention, you can call point of order, point of privilege, and say, Mayor, or Mayor, I think we should take a break, because I'm
Yeah, I can't.
for whatever reason,
Right.
or no reason.
Right. Okay.
But I do agree with Shane that consistency, so I mean, we could have a sort of, and we do have a sort of set of drop-in rules that if something happens, here's kind of the
Well, we have it on call to the public, right? You get the 3 minutes, one person, unless.
right, but
building
what I'm
it
saying
in
though
for
is
that.
when I said ad hoc, these would sort of be drop-in rules as needed, but they would be the same every time. We just wouldn't necessarily apply them all the time, but only where meetings are where the room's particularly crowded, and you don't want people kind of wandering about, taking pictures or getting in
Right.
front or
Well, we
talking.
literally had people on Vulcan sitting on the floor during that walkway.
That's the fire marshal's job
which,
to figure that
you
one
know,
out.
I probably should have cleared that a little too, on there. Councilman Lytle.
Apples and oranges. Mr. Scheer is talking about parents taking pictures of their children, or we taking pictures of someone getting an award. That is nothing compared to people walking around taking movies of the crowd, of the people, of the other residents in here. You're wrong. What we need to do, just what that says, there's nothing wrong with the newspapers or whoever standing in the back and recording. They can see just as well from there as they can up close. My thing is keep them in the back, keep them out of the way. It's nothing, no harm done. No harm done. These people who have children here, they want to take pictures while they're getting an award, that's fine, that's wonderful. The media doesn't have to be sitting up here in anyone's face. Let them stay back there where they belong. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lisk.
Couple of things. I was going to say, for you, I mean, it's not just your decision with being disruptive. There's 7 of us that sit up here.
Right.
And any one of us could, have stopped or stepped in, because it is a selective. For me, what bothered me the most was them bothering the police officers, to be honest with you. When they're trying to provoke them into something. To Councilmembers Lytle's, I do agree that everyone knows that we're videotaping, this meeting. If people don't want to be on camera, and I know normally the audience isn't, they're not giving permission for someone to photograph them, outside of the people that are getting the awards and that kind of stuff. But they're still, they're coming to a meeting, and I don't want to see that distraction that people don't want to come to a council meeting because they don't want to be seen, on the screen when they're not asking. And I don't want to see that being a reason for not attending a meeting. I'm actually fine with either one of the descriptions, to be honest with you. I do think it's up to us that if we feel something's getting out of hand or if you don't feel safe, that we need to, do point of order or point of procedure, if it means helping you. Because when you are conducting the meeting, it is hard to make those determinations. So we're here to support you.
Right, thank you, I appreciate that. I mean, and one of the options is to, you know, stick with the current language, work on all these other things, you know, supporting me being maybe a little bit more directive, I guess, interject on there, because anything can be moved forward at any time. I think the Vice Mayor brought it up. Are we, you know, fixing a problem we're looking for, I think you said something along those lines. I think you're, oh. Debbie, do you have any comment? Oh, oh. Yep, and then Diane.
If I'm looking at page 25 from this medium decorum order, and I think that's where we may need to look at changing some of the language or adding to the language. I'll go ahead and read it for everybody. The presiding officer will not permit disruptive remarks or demonstrations for the audience. Applause, stamping of feet, whistles, boos, yells, signs, and other protests are not allowed. After issuing a verbal warning to the persons causing the disturbance, the presiding officer may direct a police officer to remove the persons from the meeting. Continued violations may result in the person being banned from future meetings. I think that's where we should look at. Are you guys finding where I'm at? You guys look confused over there. It is under...
It's on page 23.
Page 23, sorry. On the bottom, it says 25. It's under citizens. So that's where I would like us to see how we can make that a little bit more robust. I don't think we should go, like, I think there should be a couple of steps, like, recess the meeting, go and talk with the gentleman or the ladies that may be causing the disruption, invite them to, they're welcome to come back if they can keep it the right decorum, and then we can go to the harsher recess and ask them to leave from the outside. The other thing that I think, that I agree with Councilmember Lisk, I was bothered by that. I felt like the police were hindered from being able to do their job, to perform their job. And that bothered me a lot, that because of the disruption, that if something else was happening, that made me make them difficult to respond.
Well, Vice Mayor and members of the council, you know, staff is here to support these proceedings. So I think it does qualify if there's a disruption to staff being able to do their job and supporting you in the business that's in front of you, that's a disruption to your meeting as well.
Yes,
Right.
and their staff.
And that's
Yes.
where what Kara's reading out of, or my reflection on it, is where I probably should have stepped in earlier.
Yeah, it was the
right?
first time we've ever experienced it.
Right.
And the last thing, with that in mind, we have done an active shooter trainer for the council. I was in favor of doing that maybe on a yearly basis because of the world that we live in, and there may be an opportunity for that in the training, that we have a mock disruptive person come in and be able to practice so that we can know what to do when those things happen, so it becomes seamless for everybody and what to do. So just a suggestion there.
Thank you. Diane?
So I agree with Councilmember Lisk and also Ed Lytle. What was disturbing to me about those, the two men, their behavior was they were being provocative. They were being intentionally provocative to undermine not only the policemen, two of them on each side of him, filming him. They were just itching for a reaction. The same when Doris was up there giving her report, walking around here, filming us right in our face. I mean, they have a right to film, but not to be provocative, and their intent was to provoke a reaction. It was very clear to me. And I thought that's where the line needed to be drawn. It had nothing to do with I couldn't hear. They were intentionally looking to provoke a reaction, and that was disruptive.
Thank you for that, and I guess that's where I go back to the current language, because we're talking about the disruptive. So we have something on there that allows us to interject, you know, on that, and I just didn't. On there. So I think back to the Vice Mayor's point, there's probably more we could do based on what we already have. But, you know, it's a study session, and this is the time to give staff, you know, direction on, you know, where we're comfortable. You know, I heard, you know, at least one say, well, I could go either way. I guess as the presider, I'd prefer to keep it as is, you know, for now, and then whether it's ad hoc or situational, you know, because again, if someone's sitting in the first, second row, just sitting there like they did in some of the instances of Vulcan, and just filming on there, that wasn't disruptive to me on there. And it just falls on me if they become in my face on there. I would categorize that as disruptive. And I think I already have the ability to take control of that with the support of all of you. So that's kind of where I'm at on there. Dr. Gillespie, you've been speaking for a while.
No, I agree. We already have the tools in our rules of procedure here, and I think this is a good learning exercise, so we all know I wrote down point of order and point of personal privilege, and I'm going to use them.
Right.
And I think and we all can.
Right. We can type that up.
So I think now that we really know what we've got, and honestly, luckily, we don't need to use this very often.
Right.
We've got some great residents here, and I think we'll be just fine.
Right. Kara, you have the same mindset? Yep. Kim? Kara?
I mean, the one thing that's nice is this is a working document, right?
Right.
So, you know, what works today may not work tomorrow, and so that's the great thing about these kinds of talks, is to go, hey, what works, what doesn't work for us, and the only way we know that is by the things that do happen.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that, you know, our big thing is the safety of the community that's here, as well as the staff and the council that's here, and how we feel. So,
Right.
and we've got tools to be able to do that, and,
Just
you know,
have to
you could,
exercise
yes,
them.
and, you know, if we have to adjourn because things are getting out of hand, we adjourn, or we, you know, take a recess for a little while so
Right.
people can calm down. So, yeah.
Debbie?
I'm good with the lingo, the current language.
Right.
That it already has. I do think we need more training on when to cue you.
Right.
Or, you know, when it needs to stop.
And maybe that's the study session input, really. It's more of that, not only for me, but for, you know, all of us, you know, in a supportive role, right? You know,
Right.
Like Dr. Gillespie said, you know, point of order, point of personal privilege, right?
Right.
Because everybody has different hearing abilities, right? So what's not disruptive to me could be disruptive to somebody else, whether it's vision or hearing or anything else. So I'm comfortable the way it is and kind of work on that part of it.
Correct. Thank you.
Shane, I'm feeling kind of a consensus there. Are you tracking with me on that?
I'm not seeing, I'm sorry. I'm not seeing necessarily a consensus, but I do see a majority.
Right.
That is.
I think all consensus is majority, but.
That's leaning with the current language as being good. This is a good working experience as we reflect back on what happened and apply the current document to that instance. Maybe where each of you could have exercised your voices and pulled the trigger on saying, hey, this is disrupting my experience as one of the members of this council to conduct business, and then we go from there. I will put on the table, because I've heard a couple of times, you know, we remove somebody from here. I just want you to know, I think in large part we would try to take some cues from, if it's a safety issue, obviously from our police department. But if it's just a disruptive issue, I think I would lean more on recessing the meeting.
Right.
Even going as far as recessing it a couple of times, and if we have to, I'm telling you, we can just stop the meeting. And peer pressure is something, and a lot of the times people are here that are of that nature. You know, they're less likely to come back time and time again. So
Right.
we'll just carry on business the next go around. So.
And we always have the ability, to literally, if it became that, which I hope it never would, you can do a Zoom meeting, you know, like literally, if we have to conduct business.
Sure.
At the end of the day.
So
Mr. Mayor,
I definitely see I definitely see a majority leaning on just let's go with the current language and try to apply it better going forward.
Yeah, and some training, yes.
I would ask that we look at that citizen one, because it goes from a warning to they could direct police officers. And if we're going to say, let's put the right language of where we would head to, and I know it says in other parts of the document that the mayor can always recess, but I would like to see that we'd recess the meeting, just so we have it clearly to citizens, that we could be like, this is what occurred and this is why it occurred. just something to suggest.
Yeah, so, I'll make a comment, and then I'll let you go, because I think of it way in, from a military standard, you have a letter of counseling, letter of reprimand, Article 15, so to build those things in there, to your point, we're not going right from a letter of reprimand to a court-martial, right, which is dragging somebody out. Right, right. Diane?
Yeah, I would find it helpful to have it defined, the difference between point of order and point of privilege, and when we use them, if in my perception, something going on that floor is disruptive to me.
Actually, it's point of order. Just use point of order. Or if you need to break. Point of personal privilege. Yeah, so just use point of order. It's
Point
easy to
of
say.
order.
It doesn't have any alliteration. Point of order.
And to the vice mayor's point, those are some of the things we could put in there, right? In that, on page 23. Right, right.
Well,
Right.
so I would, yeah.
I know.
Now you've crossed the line, Councilman. I think we need to be very careful about trying to incorporate Robert's Rules of Order. They're super cumbersome. They're antiquated. And
We have something in there that says.
Our version of it.
yeah, our
Yeah.
version is, I think, works fine.
John would quit tomorrow if we had
Well, no, I
Robert's.
wouldn't quit. It would just be, it's a struggle, because I know that
Oh, it's
when
hard.
we've tried to use, people have tried to, use Robert's Rules of Orders, and oftentimes it's just, you can't, with open meeting law things, you just can't do it. So things like, I think we've had this discussion, called the question actually takes 2/3 vote to stop debate, and then then you vote on something that only takes a majority. So things like that are a little bit but point of order is a good one for this council to remember. Again, regardless of who's the mayor, some mayors are going to be more sharper with the gavel than others,
Right.
So in the future, point of order, I can't hear, or something to that effect.
Okay. Thank you. I feel the horse being dead. And we're beating it from that perspective. But I think that was I think the end result was a good exercise, because thanks, Jane, it put it on the table for having a lively, good discussion. I think good things came out of it. Madam Clerk, item 11B.
Study session regarding the master technology plan for the town of Sahuarita.
And Ron Bishop, our chief technologist, will introduce this item and representatives, knowing that he stands behind us in adjournment, but other than that, no pressure or anything, Ron, thank you.
Hey,
Thank
Ron,
you, Mayor.
Ron, I'm sorry, just let me interrupt just for a second. Just to check in, it's after 8 o'clock. I didn't know if you
Oh,
needed a
shoot.
quick little break or
Yep.
if
Well,
you're,
this is
just to check in.
This is the last item, so I don't know if, just go? Keep going? Okay, I've got it. And of course,
Just
anybody.
barrel through.
Kara was very nice to get me water, so we can always get up if we need to, but it is the last item. But thanks, Jane, for the check-in, because I did commit to 8. Ron?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of Town Council. As always, thank you for your time. I am Ron Bishop. I am indeed the Chief Technologist for the town. Joining us tonight is Barry Condry. He's the Director of Technology Consulting for the Public Technology Institute, and we are here to present the Master Technology Plan for the town to you this evening. So I'm going to be brief with a quick definition, a little bit of background, then I'm going to hand it off to Barry. What is a master plan? Well, a master plan that's just another word for a strategic plan. However, a master plan, if we have too many strategic plans, it gets confusing. So we actually prefer the term master plan for departments and divisions. And it assists any business using department or division with aligning itself with the organization's business goals. Yeah, and we tend to, it's better to kind of have that breaking point. Strategic plan, town, master plan would be a department or a division. So some background, this is actually our third master technology plan. Previous one was in 2011, and Vice Mayor Egbert, you were here. Councilmember Morales, you were here. Much simpler times. It was 5 words, and we called them the 5 ISES. It was stabilize, standardize, centralize, modernize, and systematize. And that's what we needed at the time, because we were smaller then. But we needed something to really get behind, and that's what everybody did, and yeah, we just came up with it, and it was a good plan.
I'm
In
assuming
2019,
I'm assuming AI was not one of the I's back in 2011.
no,
Okay.
eyes and IZE, yeah. It was just something for everybody to get behind and say, now we have a plan, and it was good, and that's what, we were smaller, and that's what we needed at the time. In 2019, we hired the Public Consulting Group and an external vendor to help us out, and we went through iterations of a more robust plan. We talked to leadership and we talked to managers. Our technology steering committee was really active in that one. Took us about a year. We actually, as a town, the technology steering committee did a ton of writing on that one. A ton of work went into it. Great plan. Both those plans were internal, meaning that they didn't rise to the level of town council. And the reason being is they were kind of more IT focused, IT function focused than town. And that's an oversimplification, but for this background discussion, it works. So this one is rising to your level. This one is slated for 2026 to 2031. This one addresses more town-wide functions, not necessarily things that are under the technologies divisions, command and control, for lack of a better term. These were all 5-year plans, and this one is no different. Assesses the current state of IT, and it provides recommendations to assist the town as a whole, in achieving its operation and capital goals. And this one also has taken about a year to create. This time, we actually expanded our pool of folks. We asked town staff for their input as well. So it wasn't just leadership and it was town staff also. So yeah, we reached out to everybody on this. Public Technology Institute, founded in 1971 with a grant from the National Science Foundation. They've been around a long time to explore how emergent technology could assist local governments. They've been associated with CompTIA, the Computer Technology Industry Association, and Rutgers University Center for Government Services. They're currently operated by Fusion Learning Partners, and the town's been a member of PTI since 2021. So tonight, we're not asking you to take any action. This is simply an overview. We're just bringing it to your attention, and we're happy to take your questions, comments. And with that, I will throw it to Barry Condrey. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for that introduction. Thank you, Ron, for that introduction. I can hear you just fine. I want to make sure you can hear me.
Yes.
And I guess we're taking advantage of technology by having you from afar. So I don't know if that was purposeful or not, but, makes sense. And we can hear you, Barry.
So,
thank you.
Very good. Thank you. So Mayor Murphy, Vice Mayor Egbert, and honorable council members, thank you for giving us an opportunity to brief you on the master technology plan for the town. I'd like to recognize Melissa Reeder, the senior consultant for PTI, that's Public Technology Institute. She performed much of the work on the plan. She was unable to be with us this evening. So throughout the year, we've been working with Ron Bishop and AC and the team to construct your master technology plan. And we've conducted surveys, we've held interviews, we've reviewed much due diligence information and the existing strategic plans as well as master plans. And as Ron said, we cast a very wide net with this. We talked to every leader we could find in the town, and we did a survey of all town staff. So this presentation is in 3 parts. First, we're going to share the IT mission and the key findings with you from all of our research. And then we will review the core technology goals. And then finally, we will review at a high level the roadmap for the plan. So the plan itself is 57 pages long, and it's very detailed. We'll be providing summary level information tonight about the plan, and we're happy to take your questions. And I'll just say next slide when we're ready to go to the next slide. So next slide. IT mission for the plan, or the IT mission for the IT division is, part of the town commitment to excellence. The IT division plays a critical role in supporting both internal operations and community engagement. The mission is simple and yet powerful. The best mission statements are the ones that are short and easily remembered and easily understood. So let's move on to key findings. So we can go straight to IT strengths. Before we talk about where we're going, it's important to recognize the strengths already in place, because these are the foundations that you can build on to achieve your goals. So in terms of IT strengths, your IT leadership is dedicated and experienced. You have relatively little turnover in the IT division, and it's clear that the IT staff genuinely enjoy the work they do and are committed to serving the town. You have reliable systems and a strong focus on cybersecurity and compliance. Also, IT has been very diligent about developing external partnerships. That's something that's really important in the local government IT world. The term technology debt is used here. And this is something we always look at, because this really does impact a locality's ability to move forward with modernizing technology and to leverage technology. And it describes the implied cost of additional work or risk in the future resulting from the technology that you use. Some examples of the cost of upgrades for unsupported technology, the risks that older technologies incur, and the inefficiencies that lagging technologies can cause. We were pleased to find that the technology debt in the town is really very well managed. We'll go to the next slide now. So the second key finding that we'd like to talk about is technology dependence and technology literacy. So technology is pervasive in our society, and the town is a reflection of that. The 90% figure you see here, with 90% of the town services being reliant on technology, is fairly normal. I've calculated this for other localities, and it's usually somewhere north of 85% up to 95%. And it's also an indication that the town has already invested heavily in technology, which is a good thing. Now, with that said, technology can be tough to keep up with because it moves very quickly. Technology literacy is not a destination here, but it's a process of continuous improvement and continuous development. We heard from departments during the interviews that the town staff needed to be better trained to use the tools that they have. To get the best return for the investment that you make in the tools and applications, the town staff need to be literate with the technology. This is a true force multiplier for your workforce. We'll go to the next slide. The next key finding was about your business applications. And, you know, the stakeholders really do recognize the business in using these effective business applications. We're recommending a range of partnerships here with departments to use these platforms more effectively. Town departments understand the technology can help deliver services more efficiently and effectively. In fact, many departments share the similar needs, whether it's work orders, scheduling, or other operational functions. Fortunately, the town has already invested in several applications and platforms that can support these needs. But the key to unlocking their full value is partnership. When departments and IT work closely together, they can identify how to get more from the tools already in place before turning to new solutions. This finding is ultimately about strengthening that partnership, which will be a theme through this presentation, so that departments are empowered, IT is more strategic, and the town gets the most from its technology investments. Next slide, please. Then we come to staffing. Staffing is always a key finding in every strategic plan that we work on for local government. And, you know, currently the IT division is staffed to the level that keeps the technology lights on. The town has implemented a tools first, then people strategy to increase throughput in the IT division. So you've added tools before you've made the decision to add staff. That's commendable, and that is the right approach. The technology investments made so far have been well chosen and are being put to good use. They've allowed the IT team to manage a wide range of responsibilities effectively. However, tools can only take you so far. At some point, additional staffing becomes essential to support the growth and the goals of the town. This is the juncture the town finds itself at today. Staffing becomes a primary investment to guarantee success moving forward. Next slide, please. And then, of course, we come to cybersecurity, another of the findings that we always call out when we talk about strategic planning and master technology planning. Properly governed, cybersecurity can allow an organization to run at full speed while complying with the numerous regulatory bodies. The town has implemented tools and practices as needs and threats have emerged. But now is the time to transition to a strategic mindset for the town to prepare for the new wave of AI-powered cyber attacks and other emerging threats. The cybersecurity space is among the most quickly evolving and quickly changing aspects of technology in local government. And that transition to a strategic mindset is absolutely critical for you to stay on top of that and to protect what the criminals bring you. The next key finding will be infrastructure design. And the infrastructure in this context includes networks, computer storage, and all the software that keeps it all running. Staff have done a good job implementing new infrastructure as the town has grown, and a good job of justifying investments to keep it current. As I said, technology debt is very well managed in the town. And there are funded projects to address some very specific areas. And next key finding is over relationship management. Effective business relationships don't just happen. They require structure and effort. And this is one of those areas, as Ron was saying, that this plan is a little bit different than your previous plans because it really grows outside of the IT division and encompasses the entire town. It's very common to see opportunities for improvement in the relationship between the business units and the IT organization. I've never done a plan or an assessment where this wasn't the case. There is a great deal of respect for IT by the leadership in your departments. This is a great place to build from. And there is room for improvement in the relationships. Successful communication is a two-way process, and therefore it's a shared responsibility. Next, we have IT governance. And we end with this because IT governance is one of those foundational aspects. We always talk about building a house, and where do you start with? You start with the foundation. And, IT governance is one of those foundational things. It's nothing more than the set of rules that govern the implementation, the use, and the retirement of technology. Everyone we spoke with values the benefits that good governance brings. When we described what a good governance environment looks like, it was attractive to the town leadership. This is another area that is frequently noted in strategic plans, and it's another area that will help raise the productivity and the level of communication in the town. So those are the key findings. Now, from the key findings, the conversations and the documentation and all the other due diligence material, we distilled 5 core technology goals, and we have recommendations to implement each goal. We mention a few of the initiatives as we go through each of these 5 goals, but just for the sake of time, there are many more. There are 60 in total recommendations for you to implement over the next 5 years. So in no particular order, we're going to start with leveraging technology governance. There are 14 recommendations in this goal. Again, these are the rules of the road, if you will, with regards to technology. They involve areas such as policy, change control, standards, and oversight, foundational work. The next goal area is staffing for the business needs. There are 13 recommendations in this goal. Now, that does not mean that we're saying you need to hire 13 people, okay? We consider staffing to include all the ways we can make staff more productive, not just adding staff. Of the 5 years of the plan, we're only recommending 4 strategic staffing additions. That means there are 9 goals which are designed to raise the productivity of your existing staff. We would rather raise productivity of staff, have them be more effective, than just keep adding headcount. Okay? We do that through technology literacy, and we do that through a number of other recommendations. So there are 13 recommendations in this goal. Next goal is optimizing your infrastructure and your applications. There are 17 recommendations in this goal. This area had the most recommendations, not because anything is wrong necessarily, but because there's so much that can be gained by attention to this area. When you rationalize your applications, you reduce the number of overall applications you use, but you broaden the number of people that use them. That raises the level of productivity and the level of knowledge about those applications in your environment. Very productive. Digital modernization and an approach for AI is called out in the plan. There are some very specific recommendations for foundational work for AI, as well as specific recommendations for types of AI tools that you can implement. We've talked about an inventory of resident services that are delivered, that should be delivered digitally, and then an expansion of the GIS function in the area. A lot of very meaty recommendations in this goal. The next is to build business relationships. There are 4 recommendations in this goal, again, very foundational. It's never been more important in local government to have effective relationships between the business and IT. Many things can get in the way of these relationships: staffing, unclear expectations, the pace of change, support that isn't aligned, and governance that doesn't fit. It can all get in the way. My former job was as the CIO for Chesterfield County, Virginia, a very large county in central Virginia where I live today. And I was the CIO there for 17 years, and it took me 10 years to get a business relationship management put into place there, but it was highly effective and very productive for the county once it was, and it's a very mature function to this day. The next goal area is elevating cybersecurity and compliance. Again, you're doing a great job with cybersecurity. You're well protected. So we're not saying, again, you've got anything wrong in the cybersecurity space, but cybersecurity in a local government is not a destination. Okay? Being okay with cybersecurity and being well protected today does not help you tomorrow. What helps you tomorrow is having a strategic mindset and being able to look at the risk opportunities in your environment, how they change, and being able to change in accordance with them. This is not a topic you're ever going to be truly done with. Cyber threats are constantly changing, and new threats are emerging. The town is transitioning to a strategic, risk-based approach to cybersecurity. And these are a few of the activities that represent alignment with best practices: the network architecture assessment, the enterprise security plan, training your residents of Sahuarita in cybersecurity. A stronger resident base makes for a stronger local government from a cybersecurity perspective. And then, again, some very specific things about redundant firewalls. And there are 12 recommendations in this goal. So those are the 5 goals, and there are 60 recommendations for them. And if we move on to the roadmap, as I said, there are 60 recommendations in that for those 5 goals. This is the high-level view of the roadmap. Again, it's way too much detail to cover in a work session. The plan is for 5 years, and the details are contained in the full technology plan. Melissa and I reviewed each recommendation, each of the 60, and we estimated the capital cost, the operating cost, and the duration for the completion of the recommendation before placing it into a fiscal year and spacing them out so that it would be a manageable approach. We had to pay attention to predecessors and successors. Some of these projects and recommendations have to be accomplished before others can be approached. Each recommendation may be a project in and of itself, or may require additional resources for staff, or it may be accomplished with existing staff and resources. The detailed roadmap gives the town an annual blueprint and budget for project discussions. It allows the visibility of the town needs to pull the right lever and make the right progress in specific goal areas. Now, having said all that, technology moves very quickly, as we've said, and the needs of the town will grow and change over 5 years. We recommend an annual review of the plan to ensure it stays relevant and serves its purpose as a planning tool that will allow the town to meet its goals for your community. In conclusion, I would like to thank Ron and his staff, AC and Mr. Dilly for their support of this effort. Everyone has been great to work with. You truly have a special town, and we have enjoyed getting to know you. That concludes our presentation, and I'll be happy to receive any comments or questions that you have.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you, and thank you for the work that you've done on this. You know, I guess from Shane's perspective, you know, we talked about it with Vass and the food bank, you know, the needs, and they're varied. Do you anticipate this being, you know, drawn into our budget retreats and, you know, I think we can do this portion of it? I mean, I'm imagining in a perfect world, we would do every one of those recommendations on you know, on the timeline, but I don't know how practical that is because I know the cost of all, there's cost to everything, right? And whether it's staff and or equipment, but, you know, with you reviewing it, Shane, what's kind of your feeling on how you anticipate us moving forward with this 5-year plan?
Yeah, so I'm a closet geek. But I'm not in a closet. Okay, I'm out in the open. I'm a geek. So obviously, as you know, as we've had all these master plans, we have the economic development master plan, we have the Parks and Rec master plan, right? So we have these master plans. It's incumbent on AC. It's incumbent on Devin. It's incumbent on, you know, the general plan, right? I mean, our department heads are going to look at these plans and they're going to put forward proposals to try to accomplish these plans. And then the budget team has to take it all and in working with department heads, sort through, okay, what can we do? What has to sit on the back burner, you know, and make our best decisions that we can as we look at the resources available. So that's really the process, and we won't know until we see those proposals coming forward, and we're pairing it up in terms of what all that demand is hitting us.
Yeah, and
each and every
balance
year.
with all the other departments.
Exactly.
And all of the above.
I did have a question, Mayor, for our consultant. On the staffing needs, so staffing arguably is you know, I mean, it's very important, but it also is very expensive.
Right.
Is there a way to link, if we move forward with certain staffing or we decided not to do certain staffing, which of the goals is most impacted by not doing a staff or actually moving forward with the staff? Is the plan, can the plan be sorted that way to where as we move with staff, we know that we're going to be able to advance other areas of the plan? Or if we don't do staff, we know that those areas of the plan are going to have to be augmented one way or another or not done at all. You know, I'm just curious if we can massage the plan that way. Thanks.
Absolutely. Actually, what was provided is a fairly comprehensive spreadsheet, and it's got filters and so forth. It can be sorted in any way that you would like. It's really easy to look at the staffing area of the detailed roadmap because the operating expenses are so much higher for the staffing recommendations. And you can look at the fiscal year that we're recommending them for, and things that come after those recommendations are the ones that you would take a critical eye towards, because you may have difficulty implementing them. For example, a GIS resource might be needed for growth in the GIS area. And yes, you can absolutely, the detail is there for you to slice and dice and take a look at it from that perspective, Mr. Dilly.
Well, thanks. Just to be a little more pointed on my question, are these goals dependent on the staffing?
Some of them are, yes, sir.
And so that's identified pretty clearly in the plan itself. Yes. Yeah. All right, thank you.
And Shane, and then I'll go to you, Councilmember. Do you feel like priority-based budgeting will help maybe on there? Because as it hits the hot spots and things, because I was thinking on the same lines, you could bring on this great technology, but if we don't have the right staff or staffing to do it, what comes first, sort of the chicken or the egg, right? To be able to do that. So I was thinking in the way of priority-based budgeting. Councilmember Priolo?
Yeah, I'd like to know, under the staffing one, 13 recommendations, are those full-time positions, part-time positions? What are we talking about over the period of time?
There are 4 full-time positions that are called out in the plan. The rest of the recommendations are for a collection of things like training, and basically it's training to make your staff more effective with the tools that they have and to increase technology literacy, to sort of raise that level of productivity. There's 4 positions that are recommended, and they're full-time positions.
And part of that could also be, Barry, right, that it's not only the IT staffing or training, but other departments, right, could, need some additional training. It doesn't have to necessarily
Yes,
be
sir.
connected to IT itself.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, maybe I should be a little bit more clear. This is training for the entire staff.
Right.
In the town, not just, there is some specific IT training, but we want to raise the level of technology literacy for every employee in the town. So, for example, one of the recommendations is to have a technology training plan for every town employee.
Right.
With specific goals and specific measures. And so that is the true force multiplier for you. It's not just adding a lot of head count. It's making the people that you have more productive. When you make them more productive, you increase their job satisfaction level. You decrease burnout. You make it a better place to work overall when you equip them better. So that's why we're so passionate about that.
Yep. Thanks. And under cybersecurity, I just have one additional question. It seems like, I don't know if that's just the way of the world we live in now, but a lot more of my emails are getting caught in junk, so I have to look more often from not only people that I know that I communicate with, but also, one-offs that people I don't know or they're new. Is that just something we have to live with because of hacking and AI hacking and all of that, that I just have to check my junk email more often? Because before it was truly junk, but now it seems like if I don't check it at least every 2 or 3 days, I'm missing stuff from people, that I actually know.
Yeah, so it's a balancing act, right? So it is becoming part of our vernacular, the use of junk or spam email. And we even see people saying, hey, add us to your safe senders list so we don't end up in your spam. Ron's team does a great job of managing this, but it is a balancing act between trying to detect these truly advanced uses of AI to craft these nefarious emails.
Right.
And what should come through to you. And so it's never been more important for everybody to be diligent about this. And I think, unfortunately, spam filters and junk email files are going to be with us for some time.
Right.
Quite frankly. I mean, email is sort of a failed business communication mechanism, but we can't get away from it.
Right.
So, and so I'm afraid it's a fact of life. But you want that to be a little bit farther towards conservative,
right,
and have a little bit more going to junk, than have any of the truly nefarious stuff landing in your mailbox.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. Any other additional comments? Shane, what do you? And this was really just a briefing and kind of the start of the conversation. You didn't really need any action item or feedback. It was really kind of Ron and Barry, informing us and kind of.
The plan will come back to you for formal adoption, but we wanted to do a two-step dance with you and make sure that you had this to cut your teeth on and ask questions, and then, not hearing any, major concerns, more support, which we appreciate. IT is incredibly important to all of the departments in terms of helping us be as efficient as we can be and introducing, new technology that's helping to, be lean.
Yep, and more efficient.
And more efficient. So we appreciate the support, and this will come back in front of you for formal adoption.
Yep, and, appreciate all the help, Ron, with, training, and just don't leave us out on that. We're not as geeky probably as Shane is, or some of us are not. So anything you can help on that way. And it also falls on us, because I'm like, oh, man, I'm behind on my cybersecurity training. But-
Ron keeps trying to recruit me for his team. And
His department.
So,
Told him anytime he wants to transfer, just hit me up. And
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, we really appreciate your support in all our endeavors. Like Barry said, funding is critical, and we've never had to come beg funds. Cybersecurity training, everybody, pretty much completes their cybersecurity training at least every so often.
Right.
For October, we had AI specific cybersecurity training, which people really liked. AI is everybody's always asking about AI. So yeah, it's just part of being the community is being trained, and we appreciate your support.
Yeah, no, I liked one of the other additional items about actually if there's ways to increase our training for our residents, right? Because, you hear about, especially in Green Valley, the coverage of the scams and just, hundreds of thousands of dollars of loss on some of these people. It's heartbreaking on there. So anything we can do to, can't make everybody participate, but at least if there's the offering out there, it'd probably make us feel a little better that we have had those opportunities to train them.
So and that's a great item to bring up, Mayor. What we've done as the technology division is we've partnered with Victor and anybody who will have us at their meetings. We need to be an agenda item, but for like Toastmasters or wherever we're headed to talk about town stuff, we'll tag along for the ride. Yeah, we've got materials from the FCC, there's all sorts of free materials out there that we can hand out. And people are really interested in this stuff.
They are. It's self-survival in a lot of cases, and maybe that's a conversation with the Green Valley Council, which I attend, monthly. There might be an opportunity next year to, because we try to partner with them on as many things as possible. Maybe there's a training opportunity, because they're the ones that are really being, from crypto to these crazy emails. Someone's being held hostage, or the college kid is in trouble or whatever, and it's just sad at the end of the day.
Hey, you've allowed me to tag along with you before. Let's do it again.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take the road show on the road.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other feedback for Barry or the staff? Thanks, Shane. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barry.
Having no
Thank
more
you.
business, we're adjourned, and hope to see everybody on Saturday night afternoon, Winterfest. Merry Christmas.